All right, welcome, guys. We are live for the final tribal council of Survivor Djibouti Idle Island. We have our three finalists. We got AJ, Isaiah, and B here ready to go. So before we start, the jury's free to come in and go. Please try to avoid interrupting too much. You know, if you have something that you need to say because of something someone said, you could jump in, say a little something. But if you're being too disruptive, we'll have to mute you, just because we need to hear what people have to say. I think AJ's mic's a little quiet, so just try to be extra quiet when he's speaking so we can hear him. So yeah, with that, we are going to begin with some opening statements. And do you guys want? Who wants to go first? I guess. Or else I'll randomly pick.
Yeah, randomly pick.
Oh, gee. All right, we got.
I think the newbie.
I got someone here. Choose B, Isaiah, or AJ. Isaiah, you were chosen to go first. Someone sitting.
Okay. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Chris and Merle for hosting this amazing season, because this is easily one of the most intense and competitive casts I've ever been a part of. I've been playing games for a couple years now, and I just really had a lot of fun with playing this one. To me personally, I feel like I played a really hard game, and it may or may not be perceived that way. I don't know. I haven't been in Ponderosa, but hopefully I can help show you guys what I did and hopefully answer your questions in the correct manner. And I'm looking forward to speaking to everyone. Okay, that's all.
All right, choose B or AJ. B, you were chosen to go next.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same sort of thing. It's my first time playing one of these. These guys have done great to show me the ropes. Everyone has been a blast to play with. I guess this isn't my proper speech, right? So I don't go through anything else, just like thank yous.
Whatever you want to say. If you want to say, a little about what you did, why did you vote for you, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I wanted to thank, obviously there's few people here that have gotten me this far, and I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere without them. There's my first number one, my first alliance, which was Brian, who, he's my guy. He's the one that didn't have to protect me when I went for the Super Idol. I decided to go against everyone, and even though Brian had said maybe none of us should go for the Super Idol, I went for the Super Idol anyway, and he did not need to protect me. The Super Idol could have been out on day 3. Everyone could have just been like, oh, let's get B because she got Super Idol, but Brian was my protector. He was my bodyguard. I love you, Brian. Platonically, don't want to mess with your wife. Anyway, so he definitely got me where I am. I wish that I was here with him, but Isaiah is my other one. AJ, I don't thank you for anything, you suck. Isaiah is my other one. He was my alliance from day 2, and we said that we'd always have each other's back, and you've really proved that you've had my back, and I think I proved pre-merge that I had your back because I protected you until then, but I think in these last couple of rounds, you've really protected me and had my back, so I thank you for that. And also my strategist, Wallace, so he's my other number one, and he, we talked strategy all the time and everything, right? So he's just got such a brain and everything. He's so good at this game, and I think without us being able to sound off each other and have these ideas, that I wouldn't be here either, and he deserves to be here as much as I do, you guys, except for AJ, because he doesn't deserve to be here at all.
Wow.
Suck, AJ.
Speaking of AJ, you're here. You're up next.
Well, I'd also like to say thank you to everyone that's been a part of this. Like Isaiah said, it's been really intense for me. At least every tribal was super intense. Had me shaking for at least 30 minutes. A tribal. At the first of this game, I wasn't that active, but I knew I had to make connections if I wanted to go far. So I did make connections at the very first with Brian, who's helped me so much in this game. I made a connection with Wallace because he's Survivor Maryland, and I love Survivor Maryland. So me and Isaiah had some sort of connection at the beginning because we played he hosted an org I was part of before. And so before the swap, I had those 3 back, and they had B's back, so of course I had B's back at the beginning. And then the swap happened, and I was put in a 3-2 disadvantage, and I came out of that because I made good connections with
Austin. Came out of that because I threw challenges. Come on, you have nothing to do with that. That was all me.
I missed what you said, but that's probably wrong. But,
no. Nothing.
So after this, I made a connection with Austin and Nick without a K, and they also helped me get past that. And the merge came, and it was crazy. I found out there were people who lied to me right the very first tribal. All the connections I thought I had lied to me, so I basically had to start over. If I had to describe my game as someone that's won before, I would say Adam Klein, just because his game was kind of chaotic, and he made a couple of mistakes that he had to pick himself up from, and still move forward and won the game. And that's what I'm hoping tonight. I'm excited to answer your guys' questions and see what's up. So thank you guys, and B.
All right, there we have it. This is where we take a commercial break. Let you guys think about what they just said. But all right, so currently on call right now, we have Brian and Wallace. So I'm not sure if one of you wants to go first, if someone's in a time crunch.
Can I go first? Because I have to study for my final.
Wallace wants to be good at studying, so we'll let Wallace go first.
Just so I miss you.
I guess I'll go one by one. I'll start with B. There's a lot of people in the jury who do not like you, and it might be hard for you to hear that, but I just thought that you should know that. However, myself and others feel as though you have the best story of the final 3. You had the Super Idol for 14 rounds, and you attended 12 tribal councils in that period. To those that are doubting your strategic capabilities, explain to them how you were able to hold on to such great power for so long.
Well, as I said, I do thank you and Brian a lot for what happened. Brian said right off the bat, I don't think the Super Idol's a threat. And he said that anyone that's talking about your Super Idol, let's get them out of here. And so that's what we did. So that's why Austin was the first boot from our tribe, because he started talking about the Super Idol. It's partly why Brian and Spencer started up. I think there are other reasons as well, but Spencer started talking about my Super Idol pretty early, and Brian's like, nah, can't have this, he's got to go. And so that's a big part of it. I'm glad that Brian had my back. That was his choice to make and everything. Also with you. So when merge came and everything, it was really hard. I knew when the tribe swap happened that I needed to save you and Spencer and Brian, because you guys were my guys. And I didn't care about AJ. I felt so bad about having to throw challenges for AJ out of all people. But I really needed you guys to make merge, because you guys had been my protectors. You guys had been well, she has the Super Idol, but we're not going to do anything about that. And Isaiah and I were in the same tribe, and we had each other's back. We agreed that we needed each other. And I was the one that reached out to Isaiah first and said, hey, I have the Super Idol. Nobody else knows I have the Super Idol. How about we just keep it between the 2 of us? I mean, he could have thrown me under the bus, but he didn't. And that's how I survived until merge. And then at merge, I guess people started trying to get the Super Idol out and everything, and it didn't work. And I think that was partly because I was playing the middle. I talked to everyone. I was close with Brian. Brian went over here with Isaiah and AJ, with Nick and Trevino and stuff like that. And you and Spencer and everything were kind of with the other guys for a little while, but you were playing the middle as well a little bit. But after a while, I don't know, we were both playing the middle, and they seemed to think that I was playing more of the middle than you, because they started being like, oh, I don't know where Wallace's loyalties really lie. He doesn't seem loyal to us. And so they, unfortunately, it made it look like I was the good guy, even though I was playing both sides and everything. And I think that was partly why I got to where I was. I mean, we together, both of us voted out Nick, and that was our move to make. But Nick was loyal to me, and he was the reason that saved my super idol in one round because he voted for Tracy, and Tracy went and my super idol stayed. But if he hadn't, then, you know, my super idol wouldn't have been around. So I think it was just talking to everyone. I think that I built good relationships. So I don't know why people would hate on me and everything, and why the jury would hate me, because I was genuine with my relationships. Every one that I talk to on a personal level, I really do want to be their friends. I really do want to have that close connection outside of the game. So yeah, that really sucks. Like, it kind of hurts if people just see that I wasn't being genuine or something, because I feel like I was being 100% genuine when I was talking to people. And that's partly what got me here. I don't know why these guys, Isaiah and AJ, didn't think I was a threat, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think the issue is that you weren't genuine. I think it was that the way you talk to certain people, you might have been a little bit too blunt.
Yeah.
You were never like that with me, so I can't speak for them in regards to that. But I just thought that you should have the opportunity to explain why your social game with others was so good.
I treat people the way that I want to be treated. I mean, I told Alex, and who's right there right now, and Zach and Tracy and Nick G, right off the bat, that I didn't think I could work with them until like something happened, or if something happened. And I did end up working with them at the end, sort of, but I was always questioning where loyalties lied and everything, because we hadn't worked with each other for so long. And of course, because they came out of stronger bonds out of the other tribes. I was on a tribe all by myself with Isaiah at the end, because Jonathan was the first one voted out and everything when we got to merge. So I didn't have those same bonds that these other people had. And so I knew that. I knew that they wouldn't let me come in, you know, that there was closed doors. And I wasn't going to pussyfoot around that and say, oh, hey, like, can I be your best friend? Take me to the end, because I knew they wouldn't do that. And I would hope that they would respect me for saying straight out, you know, I know you're not going to do that, but hey, things change, maybe we'll work together. And that's what happened.
Upon reflection, B, do you regret how you approached certain people? I understand that it was from your position that you didn't feel like working with others who were targeting you. There's always the option of keeping peace with everyone. And like the moment when we turned on Brian, AJ, and Isaiah to get out Nick and to try to get out AJ, you know, I feel as though that was a lot of the relationships I was trying to salvage. And I felt like without like those relationships, those moves might not have been able to happen. So do you, upon reflection, do you regret sort of how you approach people? Because those could have been perceived as your own moves if you were able to do that, instead of like something that I did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess so, but it sort of worked in my favor. I'm sorry, like throwing you under the bus, because I was playing both sides, and then I was really close to Brian and sort of AJ, and still there. They were close, but because I was so close with Brian and everything, I would always come to them with everything that we were doing and be like, okay, well, this is what's going on. What can we do together, me and Brian, to work around that? And that's what saved AJ's butt a couple of rounds and everything, because I wanted to keep strategically working with Brian, and I wanted Brian to have a say, because that's only fair when you're in a partnership to have each person have a say.
Just out of a personal question, were you more loyal to Brian or to me?
Well, it's hard because you were both my number one. So, I mean,
That's kind of like an ironic statement. You can't have two number ones. There's always a hierarchy. It's just out of curiosity, because your moves, whether you did them indirectly or purposefully or not, your moves sent a lot of people home. It sent Nick with a K home. It sent Nick with a C home. And like, regardless of whether or not you want to admit it, what you did at the Final Seven sent me home, and I have no ill will towards that. I know, at least maybe from my perspective, it wasn't intentionally. However, I'm just curious as to, I guess, where your loyalties lied.
When you got sent home, I was out with a couple of girlfriends, and I was just sitting at the table, like blubbering and blubbering. So like, what is wrong with Dee? Why is she crying so much? I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. Yeah, but it was just, oh man, like of course, like I felt like Brian had my back, and I felt like a closer connection to you. So it's hard to say, oh well, you know, you say it's hard to have two number ones, but I had two number ones in a different sense. Like Brian, I knew basically had my back from the whole way through and everything. You did too, but I felt like more of that hive mind connection with you. You know, we talked about stuff and we just were connected. So it's like a different thing.
No, you often threw Brian under the bus towards me. Was that intentional?
Get into the end, so yeah.
Was that intentional?
Yeah.
It was?
I mean, I want people to perceive Brian as a threat, so I told a lot of people that Brian was a paper tiger, he was a goat, he wasn't a threat, and stuff like that. And, I mean, you know, I knew he was a sure thing to get me to the end if I had him, so...
Okay, and then last question, or last, I guess, statement before I move on to AJ and Isaiah. In regards to what I think you should say tonight to get people to turn your way, I think if you're able to be more open about your strategy, and I know a lot of your game hinges upon your relationships with other people, specifically Brian and Isaiah, and as you mentioned, myself, take credit for those relationships and like the information you provided, because the information that you provided in this game impacted final 9 and onwards. The conversations that you were having decided votes, and I think you should take credit for those moves, and that's what I encourage you to do.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, AJ?
What's up?
Out of curiosity, did Victoria ever reach out?
Oh, I'm pissed. I've been complaining about that literally since you left.
Okay. That was just a personal question, but I guess my vote tonight is solely based upon activeness in the game, because we chose whether or not to be online most of the time. You know, we all have personal lives, but like, you know, Isaiah works in a hospital. You have 2 jobs. B lives in Australia, a different time zone. And yet I feel as though B and Isaiah were able to be online more of the time than you. And I'm sorry if that's the case, but as like, not to be mean or anything, but I think my vote most likely tonight will go to one of them. You might have the potential to swing other people's votes, but out of curiosity, between Isaiah and B, who do you think had the better social game?
Right. So like you said, I wasn't at Tribal, but a lot of those times I didn't want to be on Tribal. Like me, Brian, and Isaiah discussed me not showing up to Tribal because I didn't want to give anything away with my answers. So I decided not to show up on purpose sometimes. The challenges, some of them are lame, so I didn't want to compete. So I do blame, that is my fault for that, because a couple of the challenges, if they would have went different, I'm sure different people would have had a higher chance of going home. So I do blame myself on that, because I wasn't active in that sort of sense, but I was talking to people, messaging people when I could, getting plans out. I was doing that.
Okay, just the amount of conversation I feel, not just like between me and you, but between you and the greater, you know, people in the game, like the greater amount of people in the game. I feel as though more of us had conversations with Isaiah and more of us had conversations with B than with you. And in terms of activeness, I guess challenges and tribal councils don't really weigh into that for me. My vote's basically mostly off the conversations I had with people. And I feel as though myself, I had more conversations with B and with Isaiah. And I feel the greater community in this game had more conversations with Isaiah and had more conversations with B. So in that regards tonight, I do not think you'll be able to swing my vote. However, I'd like for you just to give me insight in your perspective in regards to B and Isaiah, and who you feel like had the better social game.
Right. So out of those guys, like, so I feel like I had a great social game also because you guys
I don't
all
want
said
you
you guys
to,
were close to
AJ, I
Brian.
don't want you to talk about yourself. I want you to talk about other people.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear what you said. Sorry. What was
I'd like for you to explain to me who you feel between B and Isaiah has a better social game.
Definitely Isaiah had the better social game. He knew how to talk to people, and he knew when to talk to people. And I saw that going on, but I couldn't ruin my relationship with him either. But I do think he played a great social game. And B didn't play a great social game at all because
that's going to be a little bit biased because you know that I threw your name out every single tribal since merge. So, I mean, whatever his answer is, it's going to be biased in Isaiah's favor because
I don't think that's all the way truth. I mean, I think that everyone has their own. And I love you guys. Don't get me wrong, but I think everyone has their own perception. You know, I think that's just his perception. You know, that's just me. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Hey, AJ, I'm sorry that Victoria never reached out, but I guess I'm going to move on to Isaiah now.
Hey, sorry if you hear any background information. I mean, background sound, by the way, but go ahead.
Okay, Isaiah, I guess along the lines of AJ, I felt like there's this overall perception amongst the jury that you and AJ weren't very active, and more in the sense of not like challenges or tribal councils. Those included, but overall, just the greater conversations that were taking place each round. I know you had a lot of impact at the very start of the merge, and I feel like you had a lot of impact at the very end of the merge.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like you were on the wrong side of the votes at the start, and I felt like you had a lot of control and say at the very end of the merge.
Okay.
But I guess I want you to explain to the jury and explain to myself, like, what were you able to do during it, like the in between stages, and like what role?
So coming into this, after that whole Johnson vote, which I told Austin, I saw Austin, I was telling him that we just had to throw votes on Jonathan. And after that, obviously, Austin got voted out. So leaving from that, it put me in a really good spot where it made me in this free agent kind of spotlight. And nobody was really looking at me as someone to eliminate. So I was like, well, why don't I work from the bottom of all these different groups and attempt to work my way up? And you see all these big people like Brian or Zach or Nick G, etc. Even yourself, you know, just kind of like throwing out these plans and ideas. And to me, I'm thinking, well, if knowledgeably I know that the votes aren't going to be on me and is going to be on someone else, who am I to go out of my way to try to paint a target on my back? So my thing was, I'm going to sit back and let everyone else do all the scrambling. And I was online like pretty much all day for all those things. But it's like, why would I want to be the person to A, agree to a plan that could possibly change within the next 5 minutes, or B, throw someone's name out and then eventually have someone else, which this cast is very prone to do, throw my words around, and then that person eventually finds out and then they want to come after me. So I was like, okay, let me sit back. Let me let all these people scramble and act crazy. I come on towards like the last hour or two and then get very heavily involved into the game talk once people start getting crazy. And here's some good examples of that. For example, you have your vote, for example. We have this whole thing where B puts me and Brian in the chat, and she tells us that she wants us to vote pretend that we don't know anything. But the vote was supposed to be on AJ, and we were supposed to keep our votes on, I think it was Zach that week. And I was telling B, and I don't know if she wants to confirm it, but I was telling B, I was like, I don't like this plan. And she was like, you sound a little angry. I was like, this isn't a good plan to me. I don't think that this is the right way to go. I like AJ. I want him here, but you know what? Let's just keep this. Let's just go on with it. I went to Brian. I told him exactly what I told B. I was like, I don't like this plan. But Brian was telling me this is the safe route to take, and he can chip in if he wants to. But he was like, this is the safe route to take. We need to do this. And I was telling him, dude, like, I don't like this. There's a huge chance like maybe we can like take out Wallace, who was a very good contender playing in the middle of everything. We should take out Wallace. And he was saying no for a very long time, but eventually he came around and he was like, okay, let's do it. And you know, the whole idol play on AJ and everything else happened. Another example was the Spencer vote, where you have this situation where we have me, AJ, and Nick in one chat. And we're just sitting there as like sitting ducks, and we were already planning on voting out Spencer. This is, I think, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was the week that Zach was on Exile. And we were going to vote with Nick G and all of them because they made this huge chat. I forget what it was called. It was the Lang Low chat. And we were already planning on flipping on them. But I mean, not them, but you know, Brian and them. But the problem was I didn't want Brian to feel like he was being blindsided or anything. And I was freaking out. I was like, what am I going to do? Well, surprisingly enough, he came to me afterwards and he was like, dude, like, I don't know. Do you think this is the right idea? Maybe we should take out Spencer. And I was like, dude, this is perfect. So what we did was me, AJ, and Brian made a whole separate chat, and me and AJ pretty much pretended that we had like that Brian was in control of this huge blindside plan, and that he was in charge of like running this whole blindside on Spencer. So at the end of the day, after it happened, we go into our Ultra Jora chat, and then Brian pretty much takes the blame for everything, and we're just like, oh, we just follow Brian. And I was like, this is perfect.
That didn't really work out because Brian blamed you and you blamed Brian.
Yeah. I was about to get to that.
That's why we were gunning for you. I mean, you like nobody was throwing your name out, but we were throwing your name out like all the time.
And I believe it, but the mass thing of that is that it didn't happen. Like it could have been a possibility, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen. And
I was still protecting you. I said, no, don't go for Isaiah because he's my super idol boy. So,
exactly, and I think playing off this whole thing of allowing myself to, on the outside or inside probably as well, just to look like I'm on the bottom of things and letting people tell me what to do. I feel like it makes me look like I feel like, to me personally, I think it's like the perfect position, because it pretty much puts me in a spot where it's like, oh, this guy is going to just do what I say. Why would we want to take him out, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess like the big thing with that was I wanted to just know where the votes were, because I was playing with a mentality of anyone but me. So as long as my name wasn't on it, you know, I just did whatever everyone else was doing.
Just two more statements before I go.
Okay.
Isaiah, and B, and AJ for that matter, I think it'd be smart for all of you to, I guess, stop mentioning Brian as part of your game. As much as I love Brian, and I thought Brian was a very deserving person to win this game, ultimately he's not in the final three. You, AJ, and B are in the final three, and I think it's important for all of you to stress what you guys did and sort of minimalize your conversations with Brian, although they were important. Like, I'm seeing now like a trend where it's like I didn't want to upset Brian. I wanted to come to Brian. Like, this was Brian's idea. Well, like, if Brian was in the final three with you, he would be getting my vote 100% if these are the statements I'm hearing. But for the jury and for myself to understand the things that you are doing and your strategic mindset, I think it's in all of your best benefit to stop talking about Brian and start talking about yourself and the things you did. And maybe don't bring other people's games down as much, but emphasize what you did as a player, because that's extremely important. And this jury doesn't feel as though the three of you had much strategic game. And so just be willing to be forthcoming about the things you did as an individual. And lastly, Isaiah, if you can, I guess, provide some insight upon this. If I was going to compare your game to someone on Survivor who sat, I guess, in the hammock all day, and the last hour before tribal council got up and started strategizing, how would you feel if I compared yourself to someone like that? Because that's kind of how I feel like your game was. You sat in camp all day, and then once the tribal council was like, just about like, once we're going to grab our torches, you started having conversations with people. And like, I give you credit for having good conversations with people, but I felt for the most of the game, it kind of summarizes how you played your game. Well, I feel like, you know, in comparison, was having conversations on the beach with everybody, you know, going to like little side chats with a lot of people, while you just mostly stuck around camp. And then when there was numbers around camp, you joined those numbers, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, how is that not a fair comparison? And if you do believe it's a fair comparison, why do you think you deserve my vote if that's summarizes your game?
I think that it could be a fair comparison, but not in a negative, if you ask me. I do think that there's an art in knowing where the votes are, and there's a certain art where just going with the numbers and not putting a target on your back could be considered a good strategy to me. I think my thing, like I said, as long as it's not me, I feel like there's no reason for me to willingly go out and do something insane to, you know, the entire group and make it look like I was running things, because that all that does is just paint a target on your back, and it just
you gotta have a say in who goes home and everything. Yeah. I think it's a good thing to go out and say, hey, this is what I want. Can you guys work with me?
I did do that, but just with specific people. Because like I said earlier, this cast is very prone to just put things out there. So I would just tell certain people certain things. But I do think that I did take initiative almost. And I think that, like I said, like there's a time and place for everything. And I do think that at like the end of the vote where things are starting to get solidified and I can choose which side I want to go on, so I'm on the number side, I do think that was a good idea. I mean, that's just me though.
I guess there's this conflicting argument, because you're saying you did take initiative, and then you're saying I just joined the majority plan, and I knew where the votes were going. And I feel like in this day and age, where we're playing online Survivor because we enjoy the show so much, like your strategy at me is a very good strategy for like the beginning of the Survivor, the beginning of this the whole Survivor game. You know, Sandra, she won 7. We're on season 37, and I feel like anyone but me is not an adequate strategy. It's not a compelling strategy anymore. It's about like the relationships that you build, and it's about the things you actively did in the game. And I feel like after hearing your argument, I still have this sense that B has the best story.
And that's okay. I guess maybe I'm like explaining it wrong, but like I did do things like make like relationships when it seemed like it was kind of important. Like I guess maybe it's my fault that I'm more of a strategy oriented person, but like I felt like instead of just constantly trying to, I don't know, I'm looking for a specific word, but what I would pretty much do is try to group myself with certain people and then just let them take the heat for everything, and then just stand back, and then someone's like, oh, this person did that. I guess it, like you said, it might not be considered one of the best in like flashy and like Hollywood, like, you know, strategies, but I do think it's an efficient one. And I think
it's a good strategy to like align, like to just weasel your way into the right side of the votes and everything. I mean, when I made votes, I stuck to my loyalty. So I told people
I feel like your game, it was good, but the problem with yours is that you would go to another side, expose a vote with the intention of staying with the people who were going to get voted out. And you were actually accidentally the cause of a lot of people's eliminations, not intentionally, but by accident. Like that whole Wallace elimination, I don't actually think he would have left if you didn't say anything.
Isaiah, do you think she should be given credit for that, though? Like that, to me, that shows a lot of influence.
Is it really for doing something intentionally, though?
No way.
Is it really? Yeah, like, is it really? Can you really honestly call a game move your own if you're not doing it on purpose and you're actually?
But on purpose, because I was trying to keep my relationship solid with people. I couldn't be the agent that was telling people what to do, but giving the information was the way to keep my relationship solid. It's not lying to people. It's not going around behind their back. It's just telling people straight up, hey, this is what I think is happening. How about, you take this information, we work around it. I expected loyalty in return for my loyalty. I think that's how it works, right?
In some cases, but I do think that your strategy a little bit was a little bit flawed because you did it. Yes, you spread information, you were getting loyalty, but you did it with the intent of people staying the next round, and that's not really what happened.
Yeah, I guess in regards to, I guess your argument, Isaiah, is that you were on the right side of the vote in that, like, B's strategy was flawed. But I feel like the only reason you were on the right side of the vote was because of Brian. We see this chain of, like, information. It goes from, like, Zach, and then it comes to me, then it goes to B, then to Brian, and then to you.
Well, I don't really agree with a lot of that because there were a lot of instances where I would vote and it wouldn't be in Brian's favor. There was, for example, the Jonathan vote, that's one. There's only, like, I think 2 situations where I was behind a vote, and that was the Nick and Austin. And if I can think straight, I'm just trying to get specifics. If you're just talking about middle game, or are you just, like, taking all the merge in consideration?
I guess explain to me what you did in regards to Nick with a K, because in my opinion, that was all Brian. Like, B came to Brian last minute. He says
that week right there, the Nick with the K week, I can honestly, truthfully say I was not in charge of anything of that. My goal that week was just to vote with Jajora and then just keep my relationships. Like, I was building a little relationship with Nick with 1C. I was building a little one with AJ. I was just trying to build things up because of the previous round where we just voted out Spencer. I think that was that week. But that was just my thing. That was one of the few weeks where I just didn't feel a need to really jump into the gun of things because I just did something crazy.
You just said you
did nothing, right?
Isaiah, you
wait, can one person? I can't hear Wallace.
Isaiah, you said you felt responsible for him going out, Nick with a K. So, and you said that's the rounds you were being active, and now you're going back on that. You're saying, well, actually, I wasn't active that round. So
I'm not saying I'm inactive. I was just saying that what I was doing that round was trying to build relationships with specific individuals. And I mean, I don't remember saying that I was responsible for the Nick with a K vote, but if I did, then that was a mistake on my part.
I was entirely responsible for that. I waited up and everything and decided, hey, well, I don't mind if AJ goes home, but if Nick G goes home, then that'll get me in closer with the old Daguins, and that will help my game out. And if they need me, because they didn't need me while Nick G was still around, and they weren't close to me. And I think everything really opened up to me a bit more after Nick G went, and they actually needed me. So it was in my best interest to say, hey, you have a choice if you want to stay there.
Okay. So B is what you're saying, that you were playing both sides. While voting with Dad, you were secretly still working with Fedora.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's why, I mean, I was creating that with old document and everything, but feeding Fedora information. So.
Okay. I appreciate all your statements. I have to go now, but before I go, I just want to hear from each of you, with no explanation at all, whose votes do you feel like you're getting tonight? There's no explanation, just flat out.
No, that's impossible. Come on.
You go first.
Seriously? I really don't know, because you threw a curveball at me and said that most of the jury kind of hates me. So I hope that they would see that I played a more active game than AJ and Isaiah. They know I was throwing out AJ's name, and I wanted AJ to be a target. That was all me. AJ did nothing all game. That was a joke. And all I was saying the whole time was, oh, AJ's this big mastermind. We've got to get him out. We've got to get him out. And everyone bought it. And it was, like, really funny because AJ, you suck.
Okay, the three of you, I just want to hear from you. Whose votes do you feel like you're getting tonight? No explanation. So it seems like you're a little bit flustered by the question, so I'll start with AJ. AJ, whose votes do you feel like you could be getting tonight? No explanation.
I'm hoping. I think I could possibly get Nick, both Nicks. Hopefully, hope I get them. I know I'm gonna get you, Wallace, eventually. I'm
No,
gonna get. I'm hoping to. I know it's unlikely, but I'm trying to pull Alex and Zach. Also.
Okay. Isaiah, whose vote do you feel like you should be getting tonight with no explanation?
It's hard to hear you, Walls, right now, but Isaiah, he wants to know what vote you think you're getting.
Okay, and if I break by any chance, it's because I'm about to go into a car. There's a big possibility either 5 or 4 just by like making a number up right now.
Who's specific?
Possibly 4 or 5.
Who's
Maybe.
specific?
He wants to know names. No explanation.
I feel like I can get Austin's. I feel like I can get maybe Zach. Maybe Tracy. I don't know if I can get Brian's, but I'm just putting him as a maybe. And then maybe Nick with 1C.
Okay. That's all.
All right,
guys, for your time. Sorry this took a long time, but like normally
It's okay.
it takes hours. So
all right.
Good luck.
Good. Thanks for
All right.
asking.
So we had 40 minutes of Wallace. Now it's going to be Alex's.
And by the way, can you guys ask me questions last? I'm about to go into a car, but I'm gonna still be here.
Alex has statements or questions, but I'll give the floor to Alex.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I'm totally open to hearing you guys out and changing my vote, but I'll let you know that we've had a lot of discussion in Ponderosa. We talked a lot about what happened in this game and the strengths and weaknesses of all 3 of you. A lot of that talk was about B. When we discussed big votes in the game, we discussed B. When we talked about strengths that were visible, we talked about B. And also, we agreed that B had some big weaknesses too. But at least we saw that she was in this game from day 1 to day 39. I saw her game and knew what I liked and disliked about it. As for AJ and Isaiah, I didn't see your game. Maybe it was because we weren't aligned, but it was very difficult for anyone, even those aligned with you, to really have a thorough discussion about what your attributes are and actions are in this game. So my suggestion to Isaiah and AJ, be more aggressive about what your path was in this game and what actions you took. I would like to warn you that I think there is a difference between being under the radar and being absent. And it sounds like even AJ, you specifically said that, hey, I purposefully did not attend tribal. I think that is a big weakness. I do not think that's a strategic strength, whether it's out of fear of giving too much away. That's part of it. I mean, part of it is at tribal, you answer for your actions. And whether you didn't have any actions to answer for or you didn't want to answer those questions, I think that goes against the game. And if it's one thing if you can't make it, I totally get it if you have a job, but it did seem like you were watching and absorbing the information that other people were giving, but refusing to give that up yourself. So you put yourself at an unfair advantage. And I was hoping you would at least lie and say, hey, I was busy, rather than admitting it. B, we know that you're not perfect and we don't expect you to be, so I hope you can practice some self-reflection and tell us what you did well and what you didn't. So tell us both sides of or be positive and be self-critical as well. We know what we saw of you, and I hope we can, we can hear similar things to what we saw, so. Let me see. AJ, I don't have a lot, but just a simple question. Did you and Arizona Nick have a final 2 agreement? Or final, go to the end? Did you and Nick, one with no K, have a final 3-2 whatever agreement?
I think so. I was gonna stick to it. I feel like we did make that agreement, yes.
Okay.
And we needed to serve Ivor because we both like volleyball.
Did he approach you about that?
I feel like we were just talking and we just brought it up, and
Okay.
it was after the Austin vote. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I have some questions for Isaiah, but if he's busy, I can go to B. B, do you think that the amount of chaos, a lot of it started by you, benefited you when it required so much coordination to take out the super idol?
What was that? That all the chaos caused by me would have taken out the super idol?
Benefited you when it required so much coordination to take out the super idol?
Well, absolutely. But as I said, the super idol didn't even come up until merge, until old Daguin came in and started talking about it, because my Tajura boys we had an agreement and everyone sort of was cool with me, except for maybe AJ. I don't know if he talked about it. He might have talked about it. That's why I wanted to get him out pretty early, but we didn't have the chance and he kept surviving. Yeah, but I think that it hadn't been in danger. And then I think, because old Daguin and everything didn't have that strong connections with each other. There was like, you guys over here, Zach, Tracy, you, and Nick G and everything. And then there was Nick and Austin and everything like that. And if you guys had maybe worked as a unified group, then maybe it would have been more successful. But because everyone was talking to everyone and everything, it sort of worked out. So, yeah, but I think at the end, it's like, I think it's hard. Like, you guys did get out my super idol at the end and everything, but as you see, I didn't really need it. And I really, when I went and said at the Tracy vote, hey, everyone vote for me, you can get rid of my super idol, I was 100% genuine. I was ready to play without it, I felt like, in a way, it was holding me back and everything. And so I was happy. If it had worked that time, I think I still might be here with the relationships and everything that I formed. And maybe someone else that I was close with would have been at the end with me too. But the way it worked out, it was my loyalties that ended up getting out the super idol, because I knew that Zach was going home, but I point blank refused to write down his name. So if anyone should get credit for the super idol going out, it should be Zach, because I mean that was because I was loyal to him. So
that's nice. Is Isaiah ready or?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, last question, because Brian is trying to hurry me up. Do you think that? Do you think that we should have a higher expectation of level of gameplay from players who have played many times, like you and AJ?
I don't really think that's a fair comparison almost, because I think that the big perception is that everyone thinks that the more experience you have, the more crazy you need to play, but I do think that a big thing for me is when I first started playing these games, I was that big, out there player that would just go out there and try to control every vote openly and just grow a target on my back every week. But the thing is, I found myself either A, being a pre-merge, or B, I would just, oh, that's a fox, or B, I would just get voted out early merge, and I would just be regretting small things that I could have did better. And I always found the players playing the way that I played this time in the end. So I was thinking, let me try to change things up this one time and try to replicate something like that. I do think that the only thing I failed in doing with this time around was developing a better social game with other people and knowing people personally. But I do think that I played a really good way this time. I guess. Yeah. Sorry, I was just getting out of the car. But yeah, I do. But yeah, I do think that. I do think that even though I have been playing for years, I do think that the way I played this time, I think it's a smart way. That's just me.
Well, I didn't specifically say like be crazy or wild. I just said like higher level of play than having Brian tell you
What would
what
you?
to do.
Oh,
But
well,
that's
the thing.
so do you think there are any specific votes that you think you affected? Like, do you think there's an ally that you saved, or did you get the target off yourself, or did you ever pick a target that you needed to move yourself further?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. Do you think, can you be very specific here and say,
Okay.
is there a vote that you personally affected that there was an ally or yourself that you needed to save, or that there was a specific target and you needed them out this vote and you made that happen?
I do think that happened twice. But my favorite time of that happening was there was a couple times actually that happened. But I mean, if we're talking about taking all merge in consideration, I do think that your vote was an important part of that because I think that honestly, if you would have got to the end, that you were probably the person to beat due to how many friends you had on the jury. You know,
Okay.
I do think that
because that one seemed pretty obvious. So maybe a different one.
A different one, okay. How about? I do think. All right, so I'm gonna actually name like two, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I talked about them earlier, but I think that the Jonathan vote was important because he was actually setting himself up very well in this game, and not a lot of people wanted him out just because of how of a nice guy he was. And if it wasn't for me and Austin,
he was the target though that vote.
What were you talking?
He was that target though, without you needing to act. And that
How many votes did he receive?
He received the majority. He received 4,
Okay.
but that was the intended target.
Okay.
And I don't think you and I talked about that vote.
I think so. I'm not sure, but if I have to like name my last one, I'm not sure who the jury thinks took the credit for it, but I do honestly take credit for the groundwork for Wallace's eviction. Wow. I do. Like, I actually do take the credit for that groundwork. Because AJ wasn't sure if it was a safe vote or not. I mean, he didn't really know what the specifics was. At least that's what I thought. But I do think that Brian, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but he really didn't want to make the move until I kept asking him to do it.
But
wait, what move?
The Wallace move.
The Wallace move?
Yeah.
AJ, do you give credit? Do you give credit to Isaiah for that vote? He led that charge.
No, I do not give credit to Isaiah for that vote. Like, I couldn't go up and ask people to vote Wallace because I knew my name was up on the chopping block, and I thought we needed Wallace's vote at the end. So like we switched our votes like 15 minutes before. So of course I was gonna be like, hey guys, let's vote Wallace because you guys are. I knew Brian and Wallace were close, so I didn't want to upset Brian, and I knew that if I did upset Brian, I'm screwed because already 3 people are coming after me. So I have to hold the information I do know, and getting Wallace out was definitely top of my priority because he was the one that had this vendetta against me ever since the Spencer vote.
And I do agree that you, like, obviously you did know and you did want him out, but what I'm saying was I feel like I was the only one at the beginning of it. Like I said, I didn't make the move. I set the groundwork for it. When I was the one...
You suggested Wallace. So you suggested Wallace, but are you saying that you were in charge of where the half idol was played?
I do feel like I was because I was telling him. I was telling him, like, this is what we should do. Like, I feel, sadly, I can't post screenshots, but we were having a one-on-one conversation, and I was telling him, like, I feel like this is the right move we need to do. I feel like if we just let AJ get voted out, that we're wasting a week. I feel like this is going to put Wallace in a position to really win the game. I said, I really feel like we need to do this. And then Brian, obviously, eventually, he came around, and then he did what he needed to do by giving AJ the idol, and then they did their little celebration and everything, and then they did it. But I feel like I set the groundwork for it.
So and Brian's going to be here in a minute. So so you think you're the reason Brian played the idol on AJ because that's the only way.
I feel like I took I feel like I set up the groundwork for it.
All right,
I do. I truthfully do.
All right, that's what I got. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, so now thank you,
Would
Al.
it be cool if I went next?
Yay!
So we have
What's
to get
up?
Brian. So Brian's been here since the beginning, so Brian allows it. But
He's not. Here he is.
Spencer,
Brian, would you
hey.
allow it?
Do you have a particular reason why you have to go right now?
I'm driving, and I'd prefer not to be on.
If it's quick,
Just let
maybe.
Spencer go. You should just let him go so you can.
How long are you gonna be? Because I also have to clean up after a Christmas dinner.
Oh shoot!
I don't plan to be too
Oh
long.
boy, I miss so much.
he
Yeah.
doesn't plan to be too long. Which
No, I don't plan to be too long at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully, B can keep her answers shorter than she has been.
Yes, and I will keep my questions to a minute.
all right, so Spencer, you are up.
Okay, so I just want to start off by saying that I think a large part of the reason why all three of you are sitting here at the end is because a lot of people felt that they could beat all of you. And whether you want to call that being a GOAT or whether you want to call that playing under the radar, you know, whatever helps each of you sleep at night, that's fine. Now, to each of you, I'll address each of you individually real quick. B, my girl, you're my friend. You're my friend from day one. We had a very good connection, and you were the only person here at Final Tribal tonight who didn't write my name down at any point in this game. And you were honest with me. You were very genuine, and to that, I appreciate that. Isaiah, the only time that you and I ever really had any kind of real connection, or not connection, any type of real conversation, was immediately after Trevino got voted out, and you kind of said in Tribal, I don't feel like Spencer's really gotten a fair shake at things. I'd love to give him a chance. I'd love to, have the opportunity to talk to him and play with him. We had a conversation or two, and then you were immediately part of me being voted out. And AJ, you and I had one or two conversations about, just where we've been and locations and stuff. But other than that, there wasn't too much to it. And between AJ and Isaiah, looking back at our text threads, they both ended with me sending a message and not getting a response. And with that being said, I have a quick question, and I want each of you to keep your answers under a minute. That's the only parameter.
Okay.
And I might ask you a follow-up question, but I want you to keep your original answers under a minute long. B, tell me a move that you made in this game.
Well, a move which you know about. Were you there then? Or maybe you went before it. Well, was Nick with the scene. Me and Wallace both agreed that we needed to split Isaiah, EJ, Nick up because they were tight three after Trevino went. And we agreed that was the best time to do it. So we played the other side successfully, and I threw Isaiah and AJ off filter by saying like it was AJ and everything off, but we voted Nick. And I was talking to Nick the whole time, telling him I was with him and everything. And we didn't have a strong connection, so I don't know if he really bought it. He probably shouldn't have bought it because we, I couldn't tell him his name that time. So there was that one. There was Nick G, which we talked about before, because I was one of his brothers and everything, and so it happened. And there was times was happening.
Okay.
I'm timing that for you, so don't worry.
Okay. I'll get back to that in just 1 second. Isaiah, I would like you to tell me anything that you know about me personally.
Oh.
I don't know anything about you personally, Spencer. Like I said earlier, I did fail to pretty much effectively communicate with a lot of people on a personal side, just because that's just kind of like the person I am. Like when I play these games, I really just shut my doors just because I've played with my heart a lot of times. And it just, trial and error, it just resulted in failure so many times. So I guess like I took the social aspect out of it, and I was primarily trying to focus on strategy. Um, Despite it being successful or not, that's up to you guys. But to me, I guess like I just didn't want to. I was trying to correct an error, and who knows? That could have been a strong move. But sadly, I did not get to connect with you on a one-on-one personal basis. And I do apologize about that. And hopefully, after this game, that was regardless of that. That's all.
Okay. And AJ, for you, this question is about gameplay. I would love to know if there was how much effort on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, 1 being the least. How much effort do you think you put into this game? 1 being the least, 10 being the most, and why?
For me, I just don't know for sure.
What's that?
Maybe you couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear me? Okay.
For me, after the game, I'll say, and probably like I was stressed out just as hard as you guys were. I'm sure like I knew my name was going around a lot in the middle. Effort and unfortunately they were leaked a lot, so they didn't go through a lot. But I made plans and I wanted them to go through, but they were ruined by people who kept telling the people I was planning against. But I definitely put a lot of effort into this game. I know it may not look like it because some of the people I didn't talk too much, just like Isaiah. I do regret that.
Okay. So well, I'm sorry, I just didn't catch the number that you said on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, I said like 6.5, 7.
Okay.
I did miss a lot of challenges and travels and didn't talk to a lot of people.
Gotcha. Okay. So, just as like a final thing, if any of you have comments on it, feel free to answer. B, I believe either Alex or Wallace said it earlier, but a lot of people that are on the jury right now who are deciding whether or not, and I'll just hold any comments until the end, but a lot of people who are on the jury right now who are deciding whether or not to vote for you or somebody else are sitting on the jury as a result of a gameplay that has been described as a leaky faucet, with information that didn't need to be talked about being talked about, and a result of maybe some poor social management. And between Isaiah and AJ, there wasn't too much FaceTime with either of you guys. It almost seemed like, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with excuse me. Oh God.
That's not good.
With Edgic, but it seems as though for the season you guys would have had an invisible edit for the season, just because of participation in challenges and participation in tribal councils, and to me that just seems like a very interesting way to go about something that that you care about, and not only something that you care about, but a lot of other people care about that are sitting on the jury. And I guarantee you a lot of people who are in my spot would trade places with you in a heartbeat. And it's tough to say, because what was up?
Is there an exact number of challenges I didn't do by any chance that people or claiming I didn't do challenges. Like, I do know I missed a few, but I don't think like I missed a lot to the point where I just wasn't here.
I'm not stating a specific. I'm not necessarily stating a specific number. I'm more saying, between coming to tribal council and also challenges at the same time. I'm grouping those together.
Okay. I mean, the thing with me,
and I don't want to take it off. I'm not necessarily saying that there wasn't a good reason for it, or
yeah.
I know you were busy with work, and I don't exactly know why AJ wasn't there all the time, but if he had it seems as though some people have said
I'm not saying that it's like an excuse. Obviously, it's not. I mean, yeah, like I said, most of the times that I wasn't able to be here just because of my job at the operation rooms at the hospital. But regardless or not, probably almost every single tribal, I was here, and I was like, probably. I don't think that I actually had this conversation with you because we never really worked together, like you stated earlier. But I 100% told the people that I was working with, depending on whatever round it was, that I was going to be there, that I was going to be watching, and that if anything like a vote needed to be changed, if a power needed to be played, anything, I always told the people that I was working with that round that I was going to be there, and I made it blatantly clear. Now,
no, I know what you mean, but there is a just speaking honestly, there is a difference between being there and watching and being there and participating.
Okay, I mean, like I said, like I do think that I participate when it came to like something needed to be played, or like a vote change, and yeah, like I said, I do regret not being able to be there, but I did try my best. That's all I got to say.
No, that's fine. So yeah, and I mean, just from talking to people in Ponderosa, it seemed as though that each time there were a lot of people who were voted out consecutively before you guys, and this could be to your credit, who we said this person would have won if they were sitting down there, if they were sitting at Final Tribal tonight. This person would have won, this person would have won, this person would have won. I think there were about 4 people in a row who were voted out before Final Tribal Council who we said this person would win if they were sitting there.
I can say that I was not afraid to go with these people to Final Tribal Council. I mean, I made a promise to Wallace, I made a promise to Brian that we would get there and everything.
I do think that that's almost an error.
But no, it's not an error because I have confidence in myself, even though, I think my biggest error was the leaky force thing. But I think other than that, I played a good solid game and I wasn't feeling threatened by these people that I worked with because, we all had something.
And like confidence is fine, but like if you did go down where you were fully aware that these people are going to be taken out and you weren't going to do it.
Maybe, but I mean, it's hard to tell for sure. Like, I think I played different games. Some of these guys, did see the risk of taking Wallace more than anyone else because Wallace and I did play a similar game, but especially with Brian and Zach, I mean, we played different games, so maybe, they would have.
I guess I'm just saying, like, if it were me as a jury member, and to hear that you were openly willing to take people who you admitted were
like, you probably hadn't seen like South Africa, but the thing at the end was that she didn't take the biggest threat, and she got criticized, and nobody voted for her because she wouldn't take the big threat.
That's also a very a small situational thing. Like if you look at the one season Kagian where Wu took Tony, and if he didn't do that, he would have won the game. And it's like I feel like that's also a big mistake to want to take people who are obviously going to beat you in the end. I do think there's a mistake, but that's just me.
That's right. Like you play different games, and with the leaky faucet thing, yes, I knew that Brian had a big mouth, but I still trusted him anyway. I mean, I know Brian goes around telling stuff that I say and everything. But to my folly, maybe I trusted him, but that was both of our things. I mean, he could be being a leaky faucet just as much as me. So
is it like because you were aware that he was where you felt that you kept almost like you were willing to be like a puppet for him?
Not like a puppet. We just talk about stuff.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's just my question. I'm not even on the jury. Sorry.
All right, Spencer, do you have anything else to add?
No, no, just another real quick just statement. I just want to say that this has gone on longer than I expected it to.
Yeah.
Apologies to Brian, but
my computer's restarting in 15 minutes, and I can't stop it because it's a work computer. So better be quick.
I just want to say that congratulations to all three of you for sitting here. Although it seems like I've been harsh, I just want to critique everything and know exactly what I'm looking at. So
that's cool.
Congratulations. Good job for getting to the final three. And
thank you.
I can't wait to see the rest of the questions.
All right, thank you, Spencer.
No problem.
Now, before his computer restarts, Brian, you are up.
All right. Hey, guys. I'll echo Spencer's congratulations. Much of the jury, or much of what I was hoping to be saying to you guys in kind of my own little rant has already been said. But in general, Spencer was right that much of the jury feels like there's a final three full of goat to a degree. Many of the people who went out late were probably planning to take some of you, but you guys are sitting there and we're not. So yeah, maybe that's to your credit. But yeah, I've got, again, something for each one of you. So B, you mentioned how close we were, how we worked closely together, how I didn't see the Super Idol as a threat, which was absolutely true. We shared a whole lot of information. You told me things like your real name, which I could share here. I know you told it to, I think, Zach and maybe one other person, but I could say it now, but I won't cross that bridge. It would be too far. But two questions for you, B, and try to keep your answers short because much like the criticism you get in the game, I think you've been talking a bit too much tonight. Whose idea was it to vote for me at Final Five? I know that you were honest with me all game pretty much. I'm hoping that you can give me the honest truth as far as you know between the four of you. Yep. Including Alex, of course. Whose idea was it to take me out at that point?
The honest truth was it was Isaiah. That is the honest truth. He is there. I mean, we all know when I was talking about AJ, he didn't really make any moves. And Isaiah came to me, and all I could promise him was that I just said I'm with you and everything. And I was trying to hope that you would read between the lines. I mean, it wasn't me that was nervous. I'm nervous for us. And you're like, I felt like that every tribal. I'm like, oh. It was so frustrating.
At that point, I knew there was nothing I could probably do. I was actually expecting it and gave my final words to the host to read out just in case I couldn't be there. So don't worry.
I was hoping we would flip. We talked about it. I said, we have agency right now. Me and you can decide what happens. And he says, nah, Brian Going's better for my game. So.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. On the Super Idol topic, I didn't think it was a threat. In fact, it was kind of my meat shield for most of the game. And I went out as soon as it was gone. So, I mean, I think it was something that helped keep the target off of me despite, making some loud, boisterous moves throughout the game. But in the end, I think the jury views you as having kind of just ridden it to the end. You didn't really do much with it. You didn't use it strategically. You didn't take advantage of the power that you had because it was in your possession. My question is, did you use it in any ways to promote your own strategic position or relational position in the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first alliance that I made with Isaiah, I didn't have to, come to him and say, hey, we need to protect each other. We need to not tell anyone who has the super idol between us. And that was one thing I did. Also with the tribe swap, I was on top of that tribe swap because nobody was going to waste votes getting me out. So I was like, okay, I'm throwing challenges. Who's with me? You guys throw challenges with me. And then I was deciding who went, So other people didn't really have the power because of the super idol. And then at Merge, it was just sort of keeping the target away, which was harder. But I mean, it was a security blanket in a way, but I was ready for it to go. I didn't mind people trying to take it out, you know.
Okay.
To their own. They can waste their vote.
To put it out there, and I mean, the jury has heard this from me as well. I think the other way that you effectively used it was when you gave it to Wallace, or you gave it to me to hold on to, which built the trust in those bonds that you've referred to, which enabled you to get further in the game. So that was another thing that I think was important that you did with it, and used that power to build up your own position.
And I would have been willing to save either one of you guys. Zach was asking for it when he was going to go, and if Zach had, if I'd given it to Zach, I probably would have been gone and everything. But I didn't have the same trust for Zach that I had with you and Wallace. So I mean, you know, I would have saved you guys in a heartbeat.
All right, I'll go to Isaiah. Isaiah, people viewed you, myself included, as being behind the scenes too much, not active in chats. You've heard all of this already.
Okay.
For the record, on the Wallace vote, the only reason I flipped to vote for Wallace was because he was lying to my face right before Tribal, telling me I needed to play it on myself, which I knew was a lie. So anyway, that wasn't switching because of you, but I do agree that you laid some groundwork for his elimination there. My question for you is basically, floating like a Sandra is obviously a successful strategy in a game full of hardcore gamers who are playing more like a Russell. Saying, as long as it's not me, you know, that's a legitimate strategy, and it got you to the end, which is good for you. But why do you think in a game full of Russells, because that's more the personality, the big move, the, you know, taking charge, the creating chaos, and you know, doing whatever it took to survive. In a game full of players like that, and a jury full of players like that, should a Sandra get their votes?
Well, I feel like for me, you look at this crazy cast, you know, you have Zach, you have Nick G, you have Wallace, you have everybody, all these crazy people who are just flipping plans left and right, playing these advantages, doing all these crazy blindsides, because it was almost a blindside almost every week. And I'm like, dude, like, this is insane. And it's like, who am I to willingly step out of my I'm not going to call it perfect, but this position where everyone is like feeding me just like names for votes. It's like, who am I to go out of that and lose this perfect pathway to the end where people just keep asking me? I mean, not keep asking me, people keep telling me who the votes are, and I'm not hearing my name. And it's like, if I know where the vote is going, why would I step out this comfort zone where I feel good and I'm safe just to paint a target on my back so someone comes after me like in a later round? And it's almost like I don't know how long I would actually kept that up. Like, me, in my mind, I was like, dude, like, I'm playing too passive. I need to make a move soon. And it was getting to a scary point where I wasn't actually considering to do it until I think it was B, and I'll give her some credit for that. B was telling me how she felt, like how she was being told, or how she felt that like I was writing cocktails of AJ specifically too much. And I was like, dude, I don't know if like I need to do something crazy or not. So sadly, and I can admit this is a mistake, that it was a little too late. But I feel like from your vote on, I mean, not like that's a lot of rounds, but like your vote was probably the starting point where I was like, I need to step out of my comfort zone. I need to start winning challenges. And I need to make sure that some other bigger threats who are almost definite to win this game aren't here anymore.
Real quick, Isaiah, it's a family show. You can't say cocktails, it's coattails.
I'm sorry.
You need to raise your arm a little higher. All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, so, Isaiah, thank you for explaining that. Personally, I'm the kind of person who respects not necessarily big moves, but someone who likes to take an active role in a game and help dictate the outcome. So I'd be voting for Russell in Heroes versus Villains.
That's fair.
I understand. My dilemma is that there's no Russells here to vote for. So AJ, I could say a whole lot of things to you. You've heard the criticism for not participating in challenges or tribal, and I would echo those. We've also heard a number of other things that have come up in Ponderosa about kind of your interactions with the jurors before they were gone, and in between tribals and in between moves. I am curious, are there any moves in this game that you took credit for that weren't really yours?
Say that again. I missed it.
Were there any moves in this part that you took credit for that weren't yours?
That was all me. I was telling people that AJ was taking credit for their moves because I wanted people to vote for AJ. So I don't think he was necessarily taking credit for people's moves. I think
yes, I did take credit, but that was definitely strategy. Like you, especially Brian, were making these moves, and I feel like you were also putting it on me also. I feel like Isaiah was doing the same. I feel like when people were like, hey, what happened? It would be like, AJ did this. Like, that's what it felt like because people kept coming to me being like, why did you do this? They called me cockroaches. They called me so many names because they felt like I was the one doing it alone. So I just kept it because I needed you and Isaiah to stay by my side. So I just let people assume that it was just me. I let people do that because I needed your guys' trust. And if I were just to be like, oh no, Brian and Isaiah did that too, I would lose your guys' trust. And I really needed you guys because everyone else was literally coming after me.
Okay. Well, good luck with the rest. My computer's going to shut down, but I'll be sure to watch the rest of Tribal before I make my final decision. So, thanks, guys.
I have something else to say, though. Brad. So, Isaiah, be giving Isaiah credit for your vote off. Your vote off, the planning started at like final 6, final 7. Your vote off started getting planned because I started going to Alex and trying to build a relationship saying me, him, and Isaiah need to work together, especially in the future, because I'm sure all 3 of us will be there and we need to take out the bigger threats like you, especially. And so like that was talked about final 7, it was talked about final 6. And when we came to final 4, it was already a plan right after Tribal. Like right at Tribal, after you made the presentation to me and on to Alex, it was that move.
So,
Didn't really
AJ,
when Isaiah told him.
AJ and Isaiah can chime in too.
Okay.
So what role did Alex play in leading that charge, or did he?
I don't like the thing with Alex was, and I don't know, like I asked to call him the morning of, I think it was that Tribal, and I was telling him because we had like an on and off like relationship beforehand. I can't speak on AJ's behalf. I can only speak on mine. But you know, I because obviously AJ and Alex were kind of like throwing each other's names out a lot, so I wasn't personally sure how close they were. But I told him, because I was talking to him before I had to go into work, that we're getting to a point where there's like a lot of threats to win this game. We're still in the game, and that we need to take strong consideration of what we want to do. And I'm not even going to lie. Like, and when I was talking to AJ, I told him this too. Like, we were saying, like, we don't know if we can trust Alex, but I was telling him we're in a situation in a point of the game where we have to force ourselves to trust other people, because if you just want to live in paranoia when it's at the final of the game, you're not going to have any success. So AJ was telling me like how he didn't trust Alex and stuff. But I told him, I was like, I understand that, but we're going to have to just ignore anything we hear and just force ourselves to believe in this, because I honestly think that if we didn't go the route of taking Alex, that we would have been screwed. Like, I do think that B would have preferred to take you over any of us. And God, who knows what would happen after that? Like, maybe you can speak on this, Brian, but Brian, maybe you probably would have even took out AJ. And I feel like at a point, like, there obviously is going to be a rocky road, and I don't even know if I'm going to win tonight, but I felt like if there's any chance with the people left in the final 6 of me winning against anyone, it was between these 2 people. Like, I felt like I had 0 chance against you or Alex, so that's how that arose. That's just my truth. There could be a complete story.
All good. Well, continue to own your moves, guys. B, keep your answers succinct. Own your emotional game and the way that you built relationships, even if you weren't making the most strategic moves all the time. And own that as well if you did make strategic mistakes. AJ, yeah, I think you've got an uphill battle here because being absent for so much of the game and really riding coattails, because you honestly did that with a few people in this game for a while. Good luck trying to turn people around. But anyway, have a good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.
Please.
All right, we have questions for people that can't be here. I'm just gonna make sure anyone else joining. If not, I'm gonna read off what they have to say. So, since no one's here now, we're gonna start. Let's start with Jonathan, and I'll ask the questions for them and follow-up questions as it seems. All right. You'll say, y'all, congrats on making it to the final tribal. While you're here trying to answer questions and listening to people who like you and people who hate you, I'm stuck in the back room of a Target. That would be on any Sunday. But Christmas is coming up, and it makes me want to take a nap in a cardboard baler. Please send help. I'll try to limit myself to the ones related to the game. This is for everyone. Number one, how dare you? Actually, don't answer that. That's a reference to The Office. What I really want you to answer is, why are you the way you are? God damn it, that's another Office quote.
How dare you?
I've got to ask a real question at some point, though. All right, this is it. Where are the turtles? But really, if you can all tell us about a mistake you made in the game that still haunts you, that'd be great. It doesn't have to be your biggest mistake, but one that still bothers you. So whoever wants to take it first. Not biggest mistake, but mistake that haunts you the most.
I'll go. I strongly regret, not even from just merge, but just like this entire game, just like not speaking to people on a personal level. Like I do remember me and Wallace having like a 2-hour call, and it's like he even told me himself that like he felt like he knew everyone else on a personal level that was left in the game, and he didn't know anything about me. And Spencer even said earlier in this final Tribal Council that name one thing that you know about me, and I don't know shit about Spencer. And he could be like a wonderful guy, he could be a terrible guy. I wouldn't know because I didn't speak to people. So it's like I feel like the only people like I really got to like let people know me and let my borders down and stop being so clogged up into my mind and self-centered was like B, AJ, Nick with 1C, somewhat Brian's, and then Austin Trevino. So it's like I feel like I let myself down. I let you guys down that I didn't get to know you. And despite of me winning this or not, like I do hope that like we can all have conversations later. And just to like let you guys know who I am, if you're willing to even still care about me at that point. But that's all.
Sorry. B or AJ?
I obviously regret talking too much and like not being more strategic, I guess, when Wallace went home. I was completely blindsided by that vote. That was one of the big ones that I just had no idea what was coming. And I never thought that Brian would, turn around on me like that and abuse the information that I gave him to vote out who I thought we were both close to. So I think I would be a little bit more careful about my leaky faucet if going back again and just test the waters and everything. And I would have protected my own people more. AJ?
Okay. So a big thing I regret, that was some move I regret I didn't make, or I did, was the times I didn't show up to the challenge or try harder at the challenges, because at Final Four, my plan was to try and get Isaiah out, because I did feel like he played a great game. Like I feel like he played a very under the radar game, kind of like me. We played similar games, and usually when I play games, my last end game is to get rid of the people who I think played similar games to me. And I knew that Isaiah did that, so I went to Alex and I went to B and I told him Isaiah needs to go if he doesn't win immunity, but he did. I wish I would have been there to try and stop him, but that was one thing I definitely regret is not being there for the challenges.
And just to touch up on that, B also came to me and told me that you were saying that, so I was like, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I figured they would. I should have just waited until after immunity, but that's another mistake for sure.
All right, perfect. That's Jonathan's question, and now we have Zach and Tracy here. Whoever wants to go next. Yeah. Tracy, would you like to go?
Oh, right now?
Sure. You're on the spot.
Okay, sure. AJ, Isaiah, hello. Congratulations on what you have done. You've both been completely invisible to me the entire game, which is basically my question. I think you've been more invisible to me than literally anybody else in the jury. So my question for both of you is the same, and it comes in two parts. First is you kind of had to disabuse me of the notion that you were basically just silent partners on Brian's magical Zamboni ride to the end. So you really have to tell me what actively you did here to get here. Talk in big picture motions, please, because I went out early in the merge and I kind of checked out around the time of the merge. So as far as specific moves go, I kind of don't care. Just tell me overarchingly what you did to get here, what your plan was, how you executed it. Furthermore, since you both were so invisible to me, that means that you both look pretty much the same to me. And just from reading between the lines here, I'm guessing that you two worked with each other more closely than anybody else in the game, especially the people talking shit in the Ponderosa. So why don't you go ahead and tell me what you did that was cool that the other guy didn't do, and especially what kind of bullshit the other guy pulled that you did not. Hopefully both, if you know what you're doing. I don't care who goes first.
What a queen.
Somebody go, please.
I'll go.
My vote is open-ish.
So the thing, like you said, me and AJ, we worked really close together because it was starting to get to a point where, like, after the Austin Trevino vote, everybody pretty much almost lied to me. So I was just like, dude, I need to play with the I don't give a fuck like mentality. And just like I was willing to just like jump ship, go from this place to that place. And the beautiful thing with it was since me and AJ were together, we would both share blame. But I felt like AJ was getting more of the blame for it just because his mistake in the game was he was willingly stepping out of his borderlines just to either A, gloat to people, or B, just to just like tell people in PC like, oh, like I know that you're doing this, this, and that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, he shouldn't be doing this. I should warn him, but if he's going to sink his own game, I should just let him do what he needs to do. We barely spoke, Tracy, and I do feel like we could have had like a really good like conversation, but
you tried. To your credit, you
tried. Like I suck with talking to people. Like I'm the worst.
We miss each other by like 5 hours every single time, right?
I know. And it's just like, for me, it got to a point where I was just like at such a lack of time I had to work with what I had in like the small area of time I have for social game. I just used it strictly for strategy. It was like either A, use all my talking time for strategy, or B, use all my talking time to let people get to know me. And that can only get you so far. So it's like, I knew, like, if we're just going to be honest, that you, Zach, and Nick G were like really tight. And it's like, I had to be, I had to be realistic. So that's the only reason that went the way it did. But I do wish that we could have spoke more. And I do think that like me attaching myself to whoever was like a big player at that time and allowing them to take all the heat, and then just me just like be under their command and let them think that they're telling me what to do, when in realization I'm making plans to let them go. It helped me out, but that's just me.
Okay, AJ, how about you?
Okay, so
hello. Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah.
I know, I definitely messed up, but that's only because I'm really good friends with Nick G, and I knew you were really close with him. I don't know why, but in these games I always get jealous of people who are close with my allies. Because I don't feel like we're gonna get, like we're always gonna be targeting each other for some reason. So that's why I went after you and Spencer when I felt controlling the votes was when you and Spencer went out, and I felt like that's because you guys were close to people who I wanted to be closer to. Like, I wanted to be close with Nick and Zach, and I wanted to be close with
Okay, but I have to counter that. Like, why wouldn't you use that as a conduit to make new relationships?
Because I also had relationships with, like, Brian, Isaiah, Nick.
I don't care who you had relationships with.
Like, you're right.
It feels to me like if you build relationships in this game, that just gives you more avenues to the win. And, like, granted, you're here now.
No, you're right.
But can you defend this?
No, you're definitely right. Yeah, because I felt like with the Austin vote, I'll start off with I was really close with him, but I knew if I voted him off, I would become even closer with Isaiah and Nick with no K. And that's exactly what I did. I voted Austin out, and I even told the Nick with one K, without the K, that like that's where the vote
Arizona
was
Nick,
like,
not Boston Nick.
Sorry, what did you say? My bad, I missed it.
So it's just confirming Arizona Nick, not Boston Nick.
Yeah, so Arizona Nick, because he was close with Austin and Isaiah. I felt like those three were a group, and I felt like Austin was the head of that group. And so by getting rid of him, I felt like I put myself as that person in that group, like that people were looking at throwing their targets at because they knew I was making plans. I was trying to come up with things. Like, I wanted to work with Nick G. I tried to get plans with him, but I felt like Zach didn't want that and always threw me under the bus to certain people.
I don't know, like, it's just kind of like you're making excuses for being kind of scattered.
Scattered is that what you said, the last word?
Scattered. It sounds like you're making excuses for being scattered, yes.
No, yeah, so at my speech at the very beginning, I said that I would describe myself as close to Adam Klein because I feel like he also had a very scattered game of the merge. Like, he felt like he had so many relationships he could work with.
Adam Klein practiced radical honesty. And when I approached you about game, you shut down immediately. Whereas Isaiah actually approached me about game.
Shut you down immediately?
You shut me down immediately. Like, we chit-chatted a little bit about life stuff. And as soon as I asked you literally anything about game or the move or whatever the fuck was going on with Trevino, you shut down.
Yeah, because I felt like people were getting in trouble for leaking things. Like, Austin, he got voted out because he told the plan to Brian, who then flipped it to Austin. Like, that's why Austin got out, was because it was supposed to be me, Zach, Nick, and Austin that knew of the splitting the idol. And we're all like, let's just keep it between us and try and get the votes where we need them. And because Austin told other people outside of us, Brian felt like that was a threat, and he turned the tables on Austin, and I went with it because I knew I could benefit from Austin going also.
Did you not hear the part where I said that I didn't care about specifics and I wanted just like an overarching picture of your gameplay? Like, that was like the beginning of my question. Can you do that for me in like 30 seconds?
Yeah, okay, let's try it. I can do it. I believe in me. So
I believe in you too. Come on, let's go.
So I could merge. I wanted to work with certain people, and I tried my hardest to work with those people, but it didn't pan out that way. So I had to make new certain alliances. I had to build trust with those people because they would tell me things, and I wouldn't go tell the people they came with. And I became the target with those people. So I stood out as that target for them, so they could hide behind me. And I still created other bonds with other people on the other side to try and let them know, where they would let me know what was really going on. I started giving.
So you played as carefully as you could given the situation? I mean, it was chaos. We were all there for it.
No, I love playing in chaos. That's what I do when I play these, especially in merge time.
Oh, really?
I lay low.
Okay. Do you feel like you like to stoke the chaos?
Say it again?
Do you feel like you like to stoke the chaos?
Yeah, I definitely like. I'm not afraid to stoke it. I know sometimes I shouldn't, but I do it. I just can't stop myself because when someone says something and I know it's not true, and it's even in public chat, I will take, or it's not in public chat, I will take it to the public chat and say, hey, this is what's happening. Because I knew, it's just people told on me a lot of things I said, so I'd have to make it public to the chat, and that would seem like it's chaos, I guess.
So let me just, I feel like I should close out here and let the other jurors go. But just to boil it back down to my ultimate question coming out here from you two, what did you do specifically that differentiates you from the other guy?
I do feel like end game, like if because I feel like that's where I shine the most for you guys. Like I can sit here and like claim a lot of things, but everyone has their own truths. But I do feel like end game, I kind of took initiative. Like I was in charge for the Brian vote. I was in charge for Alex going home, and I honestly did win the 2 immunity challenges that got me to the end. That's my thing.
And AJ?
Yeah, so I feel like I played more of like I would make plans. I would actually come forth with a plan to people, and Isaiah didn't really do that. He would lay in the shadows until there were plans made, and then he would choose a plan, where I would always be helping making the plans.
You play from the shadows.
Yeah, like he played in the shadows after he knew the plans. He'd pick between the plans, and I would be the one making at least one of the side's plans.
All right. I think I'm pretty much good here. Thank you, everybody. Best of luck. And yeah, whoever's going next, go next. I don't know how to do this Google Hangout thing.
If you move your, okay. You move, oh, there, that works too. All right, Zach, if you're here and you would like to go. All right. Oh, there's Zach. Oh, wow.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Merry Christmas. How's it going?
How's it going?
Good, good. Nice job to you all. I want to echo what everybody's saying, and it's not that nobody hates you in this game. We all really like you in this game. You're all great people, but I think what we're all upset about is that we don't think you're as great at this game as you are of people, and that's made it really difficult to come and decide on a person. I think a lot of us are still up on the air on who we might vote for here, and I think we're really listening carefully to what you guys are saying. So I just wanted to run down a few things and see where your head's at and where I think that you guys played the best and why that makes you deserve it more than the other 2 people that you're sitting next to. Starting with Isaiah, I think you played the best under the radar game of the people that are in this game. I don't think that's to your benefit with the people that are in this game that play this game right now. I think even you said this, like during the game, you got paired with Trevino up top, and then you got paired with AJ later on, and you say that playing under the radar was an ideal position for you, but time and time again, you would come up to us and say, "Hey, I'm not paired with these guys." Like right before the Trevino vote, or that first vote, you called me on the phone and said, "Hey, I don't know what's going on. I've been busy, but I'm not locked in with Trevino."
Yeah.
And then, later on in the game, you said the same thing. You're like, "I don't know what's going on, but I'm not locked in with AJ," which is fine to do. You should do stuff like that. But if you're going to say that you're playing an under the radar game, there's no reason to do that. Like, if anything, that just puts a target on you. It's like, hey, this guy is playing all sides.
Okay.
So with that, along with the fact that to me, it didn't feel like you had a lot of agency in the game. Like, I feel like people took advantage of you. Like at one point, they did actually just take your advantages, your coins with the treasure map.
That was something, right?
I feel like things like that take credit away from your game, and I just want to know, in a game where everyone is here to play, and like as you can tell by what everyone's saying, we appreciate strategy. Why should we value someone who's playing so effectively under the radar and didn't seem to know exactly what was going on in the entire game? So under the radar. Why does that deserve it over someone who might be more strategic?
So I completely agree with your analysis on that. Like, for example, that whole Nick taking the whole coin thing, that was a huge mistake for me. But I feel like I had a lot of adaptability where, for example, I did try that one round to use coins on Wallace and B because they asked me to. And they were fakes. And I was just sitting there freaking out. I was like, dude. But the thing for me is that I can't really waste too much time just freaking out, getting mad over things. And it's more so I just had to be like, all right, that happened. Can't change the past. What's next? And it's kind of like, I feel like that adaptability is very impressive. I also do feel like there's also like a skill in knowing information And I do take a lot of pride in just knowing where the votes were. Like, I feel like my key point is just knowing who, other than like the Austin and Nick vote. Like, I'm credit to all you guys, because I was like, what the hell? But I do take great pride in that, because I do think that allowing me to know where to go and who's voting with who and who to tell what to, I feel like that was just like a high point in my game. But I do agree with the thing that, like, at certain points, especially with that coin thing, that I'm still kicking myself in the foot for. It's just like I was so angry about that. But like I said, I adjusted and I did what I needed to do.
Yeah, and I think you did. But I think I just want to back that a little bit, because if the point of your game was to stay under the radar and get as much information as possible,
Okay.
What do you think it was effective? And this is kind of directed towards AJ too. Do you think it was effective to anytime, again, just my experience, anytime you needed information or needed to know which way the game was going to go, you would ask about it, and then you'd kind of like disappear for a little bit. And I know you're working, like so that's understandable. But time and time again, it seemed like you only came when you needed information.
Okay. I mean, I do think that it was effective at the time for like short term, just for that round, because I think like I said, with the small bit of talking time I did have, when I did find out about something, I made sure that me, AJ, and then Nick with 1C at that point of the game was kind of just like we were all on the same page and we knew what everyone was doing. But it's kind of like long term, I do feel like it kind of messed me up a lot. Like, I do remember at one point where Brian even caught me because, like, I told him that I gave him a piece of my treasure map and I was asking him for help originally before Nick with 1C. And Nick and then Brian called me red-handed because, like, I knew that it was found by Nick and yada, yada, yada. But Brian also found it. And he was asking me if I knew where the treasure was, and I was lying. I got caught. And it's like, I do think that a big weakness of mine was just keeping up with everything. Like, I feel like that was a huge mistake of mine.
I think that's really good of you and big of you to admit. And I don't think anyone is coming into this saying, "Hey, you did a great job strategically." I don't think you should be trying to defend that at all. Like, not to discredit you, but I do think you played a really good under the radar game. And I guess what I want to know is why should we credit an under the radar game more than a social or strategic game, as we're seeing with the other two players?
I think I mean, like I said, it's not the flashiest thing, but I think it's just I think it's so impressive, honestly, to just go week by week and people just don't look at you as a target. I mean, yeah, people can claim that they looked at me as a target or something, but at the end of the day, they didn't really follow through with what they were saying. And I feel like there's a real art in just staying back. No.
I guess, how much of that do you credit to yourself, and how much do you credit? And I can say, coming from the other side, there were times that we did want to go after you, but one, we didn't know whether or not you had the idol or B had the idol, which is why both of you were protected for a while there. Like, you needed it was a good plan, whose ever plan that was.
Yeah.
And then, in that, how much do you credit that to yourself, or that to your longevity in the game? And then the other thing was your relationships with the other side, with B and the rest of them while in the game also protected you, because there were times at the beginning of the merge where we wanted to go after you, not knowing anybody else had. Do you credit that to yourself, or do you credit that to them?
I credit that to myself, because I came into this intentionally wanting to look like people, to look like a right-hand man. Like, I wanted to be that kind of person where people could come to just ask for a vote and then just, like, without having to actually doubt that person, knowing that they're going to vote with you, you know? And I feel like that was putting me in a position where, like, at endgame, where people can still consider that, but I know to me myself, it's like.
Hey Isaiah, who were you the right-hand man of? Because I was tied with Brian. I was Brian's right-hand man.
I'm not even gonna lie, mine was AJ, and I feel like AJ was almost like the perfect person to do that with, because he was just like a whopping target, but he was also honest with me. And just to go back to Zach's question, I do feel like me looking like a right-hand man person kind of just like put a certain amount of trust, not a tremendous, but a certain amount of trust where people were like, all right, yeah, I don't know where his true intentions are, but if he's willing to work with me, let's just pass by him and then we'll just wait till next week.
Yeah. And then the other thing, like I didn't realize until like 2 days ago that we had played the other game together, the Chris's other game together. I didn't even realize you're the same one. Yeah, I think that goes to show like the infrequency of communication that you might have had with people. Because if we had that from the beginning, I'd be like, oh, it's Isaiah. That's
game. No, I'm not even gonna lie. With that game, I think I was out first, and that's only because at that time I went on vacation with my family out of the country. And I just wasn't here. My internet wasn't good. I came back. I was voted out. I was like, oh well. So it was like, when I signed up the second time, I told Chris, I was like, I'll be here this time. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah, I totally forgot. Like that game, that was such a long time ago. A couple months ago, I think, right?
Yeah, it was a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's funny.
Cool. AJ, I think of the people left in the game, you had the best strategic points that can be pointed to. I don't think that's a lot, and I don't think you guys really did have a bunch. But I think of the people that are left in the game, you probably did have the best strategic game, whether or not it was from you or if you were taking instructions for anyone. I think at those certain points in the game, your neck was on the line, and you made the decisions to pivot where you had to pivot. I don't think it happened until like the Nick vote, and I think that you were playing like flipping back and forth between then, and you weren't going to stop until you were caught, until your name was on the line. That said, even though your game was probably the more strategic than the other people, I think you left really bad taste in people's mouths with the way that you communicate with them, with the way that you interact with people. I think you rub people the wrong way. So I don't think you should really be relying on your social game here to win any votes. How do you think you win this game strategically? What can you point to as your own that you can say that was me? And I know you've talked about it a little bit. I was driving, so I missed some of it. And like, you can be completely honest. If Brian said to do something or knew some information that was coming that would keep you around and you followed that, I still credit that as partially your move. Like if it was your neck on the line. So what, in terms of that, can you take credit for? And what can't you take credit for?
So I do take credit for the Spencer and the Tracy vote. I do take credit for both of those. I wanted to get closer to allies I wanted to get closer to, and those two were blocking me from becoming third on both of those lists because I was sixth. I was on the bottom of a lot of lists. I found out at the merge. After that, I got exposed by you from playing the middle and going to flipping both sides until I'm caught, basically, and you caught me. And so I had to pivot how my game changed, and it became as the person that was okay with people being mad at, was okay with people targeting me, and I wasn't trying to change that because especially with you and Wallace, I couldn't come up to you guys and make new game moves with you because I was definitely afraid you would just go tell those game moves that I talked to be Wallace and Brian. And I knew I needed Brian and Isaiah with me, so I just decided to be that guy that wasn't pleasant really to keep getting targeted, to have Isaiah and Brian want to keep me because they think I'm loyal to them. And another thing, I told you and Nick so many times that I didn't want to be paired up with Brian because I knew he was so good. And it just kept happening that he would be the one telling me all the info about all the blindsides that were happening to me. Like when I felt I was getting blindsided.
That's what he said. He said he wanted AJ to the end to be his GOAT. So, I mean, you can't really take credit for any of that. You knew that?
Well, how can he get to the end if I'm the GOAT when I wasn't planning on taking him to the end? Like, that was the thing. I let him protect me because he's the only one doing it. He came with me to the Nick plan. He came with me to the Wallace. He told me Wallace wasn't voting with me, so we made a plan to vote out Wallace. He told me that the sixth vote, when we tied to get the Super Idol out, he told me he's going to do something crazy to have it so I'm not even on the block. So I was like, oh my gosh, do that for sure. So he told me, and then all of a sudden my name wasn't even voted for on for six, and that was pretty intense also. And I wasn't tattling on people, which I feel like was a big part of my game, because if I did, I would have been out 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I think that all syncs up, except for the Tracy thing. If you are taking credit for that, because that at that point in the game, I think you and Isaiah were kind of still flip flopping back and forth, and I feel like Tracy was going to be the obvious, but like from what I've heard, that had come up from the other side, regardless. Like Wallace or someone had brought that up to bring Tracy on board. So, can you clarify what you mean by you were the key component in that vote out? Was it that you were? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but can you explain why you were vital to that?
I was part of that. He was not a key component.
To the Tracy vote,
I
was not letting. Like,
you didn't even talk to me about
they were
Tracy.
talking about. They were talking about voting Nick G out, and I was not okay with that. Hey B, this is my question. So, so they were debating either Tracy or Nick G, and I basically told them I was not voting Nick G, so they went with Tracy. And then I wanted to work with you guys to split the idol that time, but then I heard that you and Wallace got on a call, and was basically, you told them everything that I was flipping back and forth. So, and Wallace came to me with that info, and so I stuck with them to get Tracy out, because I was like, I need to weaken your numbers if you're not really keeping my secrets and want to be an ally to me. I've got to get rid of your allies.
Okay.
And that's
you can't take credit for that. Everyone knew that Zach, Tracy, Nick G were a solid 3 with Alex. They were a threat. All of us agreed.
I could have easily.
It wasn't your idea. That I mean, you can't.
Isaiah and Nick were planning on putting 3 votes on Wallace, and you would have used your super idol, and it would have been a tie between Wallace and Tracy, and Wallace would have went. But because information was leaked, I decided not to go with that plan, and our 3 votes that were supposed to go with Wallace went to Tracy.
I can confirm.
Okay.
I mean, that does sound like what was happening, because at the time, when Wallace had come to me, that was the plan. And then when I had spoken with B to tell that, thinking that Wallace and B were solid to go, B let that go to Isaiah and kind of blew all that up. But it's past. It doesn't matter, guys. It's all good. All right. Thank you, AJ. If there's anything else you want to say, let me know. Otherwise, B, I think you played the best social game. I think you got along well with all the people that you did talk to, and you got people to open up to you.
Yeah, I don't know why Tracy still doesn't like me. I mean, you voted out Spencer. I didn't mean to turn on you. I think all of our conversations were legit. I thought that we could become friends, and then you were sort of hating me out of nowhere. So I don't really understand where I went wrong there. I know you didn't want to address a question to me, Tracy, but I don't know why. Why? What did I do?
Yeah, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think everybody who did play with you felt, or did speak with you, did feel close to you, and I think that's to your credit. I think even when what's up? Even when you and I weren't gonna play together at all, we both knew that we couldn't play together for the longest time. It was fine. It was still good talking to you. It's there was no deception there, so that was good. But I think the tick against your game comes from the fact that one, you had the super idol, you went for the super idol, you came out that you were saying, hey, I'm going to play this game really hard and going for that. And then before the merge, you were playing as that person. You threw the challenges, you took it, you killed us left and right before we got back into the merge. And then after the merge happened, it kind of dipped off a little bit, and it was a little disappointing. So I think people are hesitant to say, hey, you did a great job strategically, especially when a lot of the times some of us, or not me, but some of the people that you were with did go home because you let things leak in, even just to the fact that Tracy, the conversation we were just having about Tracy, that probably wouldn't have went that way if you had trusted at least Wallace. There was no reason to trust me at that point, but to trust Wallace enough to go with us in that thing. So I think trying to defend yourself strategically is going to be hard, just because of all the things that we've heard and we've seen. So I want to know.
I mean, as I told you back then, before Tracy went out, I would have been at the bottom of a 5-person alliance, right? So I mean, I knew I had to stick with AJ and Isaiah and Brian. I couldn't flip. That's why I was trying to play the middle. And so I think I needed to make those moves. I think I needed to go and distracting with that candy cane.
Okay.
I needed to go and play the other side and tell Brian and everything, because if I had voted with you guys, it would have been, that's what happened to Wallace. That's why they wanted to get rid of Wallace and not me, because Wallace was voting with you guys. I made it through a couple of votes to AJ that I was going and saying, hey, I'm doing this. Sorry, this is what you can do about it and everything. And
For sure. But that wasn't, I mean, that's not the only time that letting information slip out ruined the planned vote. And like, even if you weren't on at that time, there are votes in the game where information was leaked and the game didn't play out the way that you had voted. Like when Brian, whatever that one time that you let Brian know something immediately before the vote, and we lost that time. I feel like, and I think it's difficult to say, hey, you played a great strategic game. I think. What's that?
The Nick G vote was planned. I wanted Nick G out. That's why I went to Brian, said you can save AJ if you want to.
But did you want Wallace out that one vote? Because I also remember that you leaked that information to us that AJ was going to go. Wallace left, and then you started crying a lot because you said that was your number one and stuff. And it's like, I do feel like it's a huge error of your game.
Yeah, I didn't want Wallace gone, but I mean, the votes beforehand went the way that I wanted them to go, except for Spencer, of course.
But thinking long term, like was the Wallace vote, was that the one that the half idol was played, or the alternate idol?
Yeah.
Yeah, half idol.
We would have gotten the half idol out if one thing earlier you weren't going up to Brian and be like, hey Brian, you don't need to use it. You don't need to use the idol now. I keep
100% weren't actually going to like. You guys actually would have been successful, but an ally of B's went home due to her mistake.
Yes, and I'm not saying that's like no one needs to play a perfect game. I don't think you guys played a perfect game. I'm just saying if we're talking about your strengths in the game, it's a much more social game. Like I think you got along better with people for that, and I don't think you should really try to bolster your strategic resume, because we were all there and we saw it. Like, I think you did a good job. I don't think you should try to die on that hill. I think you should really own up to your social game and saying like why you got as far as you did. It wasn't the result of the super idol. It wasn't the result of like strategic mastery, and like it was because of your social game. And if you could,
would you, if I had been able to keep you that last vote, would you have taken me to the final 3? I mean, I think I had people that would have taken me to the final 3. Like Brian, I think for sure would have. Wallace, I think for sure would have. So I think that's part of the social game, like that people had made these promises that I trusted them, they trusted me, you know?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I would be here no matter what, you know, and Isaiah did decide to bring me, and we had a thing from like the get-go and everything. And I could have beaten him in that last challenge, but yeah. You gotta have a rematch, huh?
Should have, dude.
All right, well, if there's a tie final travel console, the rematch will be you guys holding your
own.
Down. Yeah, I mean, I think that you playing that social card. I guess I want to know how much of the game was because of your idol, and how much of the game was because of your relationships. Because going into the game, like you saw, like the first 4 times we tried to get that idol that we couldn't do it, and then it kind of became a non-issue. So what is it that changed that perception? What changed it from, hey, let's go against B and try to get out the super idol, to let's let her keep going?
Well, I think, you know, as I said, like, because I became tight with Wallace and Brian and everything at the start, they said that the super idol wasn't a threat, that they were going to protect me to the end. And I really feel like they were more loyal to me than they were to AJ, and I know that me and Isaiah had a deep, stronger connection than I think he had with maybe Brian and Wallace and everything. And so I feel like that part, like I felt protected no matter what, you know. I mean, Brian was my bodyguard. Wallace was my strategist. I had like both corners and everything. And, you know, I was working together with both of them and I felt safe. And that's what made me feel safe enough in the tribe swap to just keep it going and protect them, because I wanted them to get to the merge and to protect me again. And they mostly did protect me again. The problem is that AJ and Isaiah already had a true connection with Austin. And that sort of made things a little bit unfair because they weren't to draw strong. So they could just go off and do their thing with Austin. And that sort of put me in trouble a little bit, because I would have been, you know, smooth sailing had there not been some sort of pre-game alliance, I think, with
And
Austin.
just to touch up on that, I don't think that that's a fair assumption, because one, I played like maybe a total of 5 games with Austin since I've known him. This is the very first game where we've actually voted with each other. We usually vote each other out, so that's one thing.
Yeah,
Second,
we wouldn't have known to work with him had you not already worked together. If we were all just coming into the merge as newbies, we didn't know each other, you wouldn't have gone to
here's the second thing with that, though. I don't really think Austin Trevino and me knowing each other is really a valid point, due to the fact that he was a second member of the jury. There was plenty of other jury members. There's plenty of other rounds after that. If it would be a different thing if it was like in the very middle of the merge, but it was only 2 rounds that he was there for, and he did a lot of damage more than. And it's just like I feel like he did a lot more damage to my game more than positivity. So it's almost like him, I feel like just the thing that me and him together is almost like a something, but that's just me. I'm just, you know, I feel like it's almost like an invalid point due to the fact that him being here did damage to my game, and then him leaving, I adjusted and made it better. But that's just my.
No, I don't think so, because he hooked you guys up with Nick, and you guys became a tight 3 even when he was gone. So AJ, Isaiah, Nick, you guys were tight. We identified that. Zach remembers, and we said we have to break up those 3. That's why we went after Nick. And I was the one that protected the 2 of you and said, I will not, especially Isaiah, I said, I'll not write Isaiah's name down, but I'm happy to go for AJ or Nick, but I really wanted Nick. And so I said to Alex, if you want to prove your loyalty to me, because I still don't trust you, write down Nick's name. And he said he would. And that's what happened. Nick went home.
Yeah, that's 100% true. In that case, what was your intention with us? Were you actually planning on playing with us, or were you just trying to get people out from the other side? Like, because with that Nick vote, like, we would have gone for Isaiah. We would have done that. No offense, Isaiah, but like that's what would have made the most sense to do. But and this was our problem. This is our problem working with you from the merge, and that's why Spencer and you and Wallace were kept out of that stupid giant thing that Trevino put together. Was because we didn't know if we could trust you. We trusted Wallace. We trusted Spencer 100%. But we said, hey, we don't know, because it seems like she's not in on it.
But in the end, they went home trusting you. So, I mean, what was it better?
I was not around with Spencer when.
But I think better for my
the
game.
fact that Wallace went home wasn't on me. I had no power when Wallace went home.
Yeah. I know, but because I had the connections with Isaiah and AJ and Brian and everything, and they trusted me, and they said, oh, we think Wallace is playing us, and I'm like, oh, I don't think he is, but I didn't have enough justification to tell them why he wasn't playing them. And the same thing with Spencer. I said, well, you know, I didn't want them to vote for Spencer. They knew that, and so they wanted to keep me. I think I had the strong connections with them in which they wanted to keep working with me, and that was like playing the middle. I don't believe I was disloyal particularly to your side, because I said that I still had trouble trusting like Alex and stuff like that, even up until that final vote and everything. I still had trouble trusting Alex 100%, and I wanted to be able to have that full trust, but I started the game with Isaiah and Brian, and you know, I'm at end of the game with Isaiah now, and that's sort of like it's hard to flip on them totally. You know, like I wrote down.
I understand. I think at a certain point, like especially if you were closer to Wallace, that and Wallace and Isaiah aren't on the same side. At a certain point, you have to make those decisions, and like
Right.
it comes to the point where like at one point when it was you, me, Wallace, and Alex together, we still weren't certain of what you were going to do, even though it was right before Wallace had gone home. Like he had to make a separate group that said, "Relax, guys." Because he was worried that you were flipping on us and going back with them. Like that's how. So just
tell me about that group. It's okay.
Yeah, no, and it's nothing. Like you played with us, you voted with us. Like you eventually came down and did what you said you were going to do. But I think it was very hard to maneuver within that, like within that space, because we never knew exactly what we were going to do. Even someone who you were very close with in Wallace, not knowing exactly what you were going to do. And it caused things to be chaotic. Like that's why Brian got a straight vote that round when Wallace went out. Like at that last, like a half an hour before that vote, we all had switched to Brian. And the only reason that we had switched back was because Wallace was like half an hour, he told us to switch to Brian. 15 minutes before, he's like, hey, B's back with us. Let's go back to AJ there. And that's why the whole thing was disorganized. Like, I think that made planning things with you difficult, and I think it's that difficulty which made people think, hey, if we can be at the end with B, that's a good thing. Like that's what would make people say, hey, that's fine if B gets there. There's been this chaos involved, which people won't respect your strategy, and I don't think that should be the case. Like I think you should be speaking up. I don't think you should be speaking to your strategy. I think you should speak up your social game, like, because it was great. I think you're a great person, and I think you should be making the argument that says, hey, these people didn't get to the end with me because they wanted me as a go, but because they liked me. So can you draw that line?
Well, I think so. I mean, Isaiah, it would break my heart if you said that you wanted to get to the end with me because I was a goat, because you did say that, hey, I wanted to get to the end with you from the start and everything, and that, like, you know, if you're lying to me, then that's your prerogative. I know you've lied in the game and everything. I feel like I have tried to be more honest and everything in the game, except for a couple of times where I couldn't, like, speak the truth, and that sometimes backfired on me and everything, and I'll own that. I mean, I think that, I mean, I wouldn't want to play a game where I was lying all the time and telling people things that I couldn't own up to and everything. And so, yeah, like, I don't think AJ would have wanted me. Yeah. Sorry, AJ. But I think Isaiah.
No, I love B.
Oh, me too.
The cockroach loves B. That's all.
I do. It's love-hate. You know that.
All right, Zach, do you have anything else?
No, great job, guys. And B, this was your first game, right? So that's fantastic. You did an amazing job. And I think we're all excited to see the way this goes. This is good. Good luck to you all.
So, all right, we have two more jurors. One of them, Nick G. He's been busy with something, so he hasn't submitted a question. But we have other Nick. Unless anyone else here wants, any other jurors waiting here want to ask any follow-up questions, that would be the time to do so.
I'll ask one.
Okay.
Throw on video. When B was talking about the Nick G vote, and talking about how she shared information which led to Nick going out, I saw AJ shaking his head no. I may have misseen or whatever. I'm just curious if there was something that AJ wanted to say about that vote.
Oh, yeah. So the only thing I think, if I was shaking my head, it was probably just because she said she wanted Nick G out. I don't think that's what she wanted. I think she wanted me out, but she told you to keep that relationship with you, and that's why she told you about second. It wasn't because she wanted Nick G out. It was because she wanted me out, but to keep you with her. That's what I was shaking my head about.
I never mind keeping you around, AJ. I played it up. I like to laugh at to everyone that AJ was like this big strategist and ooh, he's a threat to win the game. We have to get rid of him. But I mean, you know, for me that wasn't the case.
AJ.
Yeah. So also another thing, when she didn't vote you, which was I guess good on her part. Like I don't know because like me and her talked, and she was like, I understand how we have to vote Brian. He is going to beat us in the end, so we have to vote him. So I was going into it thinking it was going to be 4-1. Like she did say maybe we should do something, but no, we shouldn't because he would beat us.
No, I didn't
shook when she actually voted Alex.
Something, and then you clean. I said I understand. That's it.
Don't worry. I understood fully that B not voting for me was entirely jury management. It's all good.
It was not. It was not. I was hoping it.
No, she just didn't want to break your heart. She kept telling me that. She's like, I don't want to break his heart.
She knew about it. She just
don't worry, B. Don't worry, B. You couldn't break my heart. My heart's well intact. AJ, on the Nick vote though, did you actually switch both of your votes at the very last second before the cutoff to Nick G?
Yeah. So with Nick, is that what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So my votes were at Zach, that tribal. The funny thing about it was I was trying to convince Zach low key to give his idol to Nick because I thought my votes would be enough to get Zach out if he did that. So I was like trying to convince him to give his idol to Nick. But if he did that, I would have went, which was hilarious. Thank goodness that mistake didn't cost me the game. But yeah, very last second you told me to switch my votes to Nick, and I did thankfully, or else I would be gone again. Like if I was supposed to go that round if it wasn't for you. It was definitely me.
Okay. Yeah, there was some confusion, I think, with some people, but just wanted to clarify that one. All right. Sorry. I'm done again.
All right. Tracy's the only one here. Do you have any other questions, Tracy?
Hello, I'm here. Did you want me to ask another question?
I don't know if you had any.
Production.
B was upset you didn't ask her a question earlier.
I do have one question for B, and if she would like it, I must warn her that it is quite pointed.
Okay.
Does your asshole ever get jealous of the shit that comes out of your mouth?
Oh man, seriously? I still don't get it. Okay. All right. Ouch. I don't know when I lied to you, except for I didn't tell you that I was voting for you. I mean.
Oh no, it's okay. I saw through everything. I'm asking if your asshole is jealous about the shit that comes out of your mouth.
I'm asking you when you think I lied to you.
Oh no, I don't think you lied to me. I think you told me everything like within the first hour of talking to you, actually. I think you're a lot more transparent than you think you are. But I'm asking if your asshole is jealous of the shit that comes out of your mouth. As it clearly has been not only this entire game, but also the last couple of hours. Just asking. It's an honest question. This is the question that I have for you.
Well played. Okay.
I mean, my vote is open-ish.
Maybe it is. I mean, you know, I am completely transparent. I have no filter. I'm completely honest with that. So, you know, own it.
Yeah, no, I'm not here to do you too dirty. I'm just here to humiliate you a little bit. Don't worry about it.
It's all right.
All right. All right. So if that's all, we have one final juror that has a question submitted. Since I'm guessing there's no answer to the last question. So it's from Nick with 1 C and 1 K, because Nick with 1 C is both of them. And it says, "Hi, Final Three, and congratulations on making it to the Final Tribal Council. It seems like the jury is coming into tonight with a lot of preconceived ideas, and many people have already decided who they're going to vote for. So I hope that you guys really take time to answer all the questions and respond thoughtfully. You guys could end up swaying a vote that will win you the game. When I think about Survivor and my favorite moments and players from the history of the show, 2 qualities come into mind that I admire: heart and self-awareness. So with those 2 qualities in mind, I have 2 questions for all of you. Number 1, what was one specific moment in the game where you guys played with your heart instead of your head, and how did it benefit or hinder your game? And the second question is, what is the biggest reason why you are not deserving of the title of Soul Survivor? Please don't turn this into a job interview scenario where you say, well, actually my biggest weakness is my strength. To be honest with us. Again, congratulations and good luck. So, first question is, what's one time you played with your heart instead of your head? Second time is, what was your biggest weakness?
I think for me, the first time, for the first question, the time that I played with my heart more than my head was very early on, when the whole Austin thing, the week he left, and actually the week that he stayed when Jonathan left. I was more concerned on trying to keep him in the game instead of actually just like not causing such a ruckus, because like Zach stated earlier, like they also wanted me out. So it's like I would say that's one of the times I played with my heart instead of my head. And what was the second question?
What was your biggest what was your biggest weakness in the game?
Oh, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. My weakness was just like not getting to know everybody on a personal level and just having a weak social game. That's mine.
All right. AJ? AJ, you want to answer next?
Okay, I'll go next.
Okay.
So probably when I played with my heart instead of my head was the first probably 3 tribals of Merge was when I wanted to work with Nick G. Like I wanted him to be my final 2. I wanted to work with him. So all my head was telling me was like, it's not going to work. Your allies are different. You guys trust completely different people. It's not going to work. But I kept pushing for that alliance, and it eventually almost got me voted out of the game at night. So that was probably when I played with my heart instead of my head. And then the second question was, oh my gosh.
It was biggest weakness. What was the other one?
What
was the biggest weakness?
So my weakness, like my biggest weakness in the game was probably how I acted towards people when their votes didn't go through and mine did. But I am just a very outspoken person when it comes when like things go my way, especially when I'm the one that's going to get voted out if it doesn't go through. So I was just excited. I liked everyone in this game, so I wasn't like trying to like I wasn't trying to be rude, but I'm sure it came off as rude, but that was probably my weakness.
All right. And then B, heart instead of head and biggest weakness.
When did I play this game with my head and not my heart? I think that should be the question. Everyone knows I played like the whole game with my heart instead of my head. I think that's sort of my biggest weakness as well. It got me in trouble. There were like some times where I wanted to listen to my heart more than my head, and I didn't play with my heart, and that would have been back when I was throwing challenges, and I knew that I really did want to work with Jacob and everything, and we had built up such a trust connection so close. And then when I voted him out, that was the first time I really, really cried because I did that to him, and he really, really, really trusted me, and Jaden really, 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 really trusted me. He thought that I was the only one he could trust in the game. I was his only person, and I had people like that I had to not go with my heart on. Like, you can't keep everyone, right? I guess my heart is like, I wanted to keep everyone, and that's why it's probably my biggest weakness, because you guys are right. Like, I would have taken Zach to the end. I would have taken Brian to the end. I would have taken Wallace to the end. It probably would have been the end of my game. Like, I know that, but that was me playing with my heart and not with my head. So I own it. I mean, everyone makes mistakes in this game, but it's just being genuine, right? Even if it would have gotten me 0 votes.
All right. Well, thank you guys for the last 2.5 hours as we discussed.
Can I circle back to the question that someone else had asked earlier, just to see how they are reflecting on the game now? I think it was Wallace that asked, who do you think is going to vote for you now? I'd really, if you can, I mean, you don't have to, but if you can, at this point with it being done, who do you think is voting for you?
No explanation. Just give me
Just
the
name.
Tracy's voting for me. Tracy's giving me all the votes, I think.
I'll be surprised. But
I'll go.
My one vote is.
I'm hoping / thinking I get Nick G. I said when Ross was talking, I hope I get Zach and Alex and Brian, and I'm pretty sure Tracy and Nick with 1C were the ones I'm hoping vote. I think could vote for me, and I'm hoping to vote.
all right. Be seriously, who do you think your votes are?
Oh, come on! I'm trying to avoid saying that because I don't want to seem like, you know, I'm
saying it. How do you? What are the people voting for you to win?
Well, I think that I did play at least a better social game than Isaiah and AJ. So people do find that more, you know, more appealing. Then I think would vote for me. I would hope that my boys Brian and Wallace and Spencer and Jonathan would vote for me. That would be excellent. I love you guys so much. I would hope that Zach would vote for me because, I mean, I tried, but, you know, it's about strategy. So if he really thinks that the other guys did play a better strategic game, I wouldn't hold it against him if he didn't vote for me. I don't know. If Nick doesn't take offense to me voting him out, maybe he'd vote for me.
All right, so that's 6 potential votes.
Potential.
All right. Give us some names.
Do we get closing statements after this?
Yes, you'll get closing statements.
Just a hunch. I think Austin's going to vote me. I think I will hope maybe Nick with 1C. I will also hope Nick with a G at the end. I have a possibility at Zach's maybe. I have a possibility at Tracy's. And I don't know if Brian wants to vote me, but I would appreciate it. And there you go. That's all my predictions.
All right. Obviously, Trevino didn't ask a question, so.
What a guy.
Yeah, I know, right? So, yeah, like I said, thank you guys for the last 2.5 hours. Now, if you guys want to take a minute, then I'm going to ask for a closing statement. Please keep it to a minute. We kind of talked about a bunch, so try to keep your statements consolidated. And then the jury we'll give them until tomorrow to decide who they want to win this game, and hopefully we can set a time that works for everyone for tomorrow.
Okay.
And we're stuck with each other again on the tribe chat, which is so boring. Come on.
One chat statement, all right. We can talk about what comes out of your mouth and what comes out of your asshole.
Oh, man. I'll just do a quick closing statement because I'm missing the Eagles game and my dad's yelling, so it must be exciting. I just really want to say that I had such a fun and spectacular time with all of you guys because, like, this was easily one of the craziest cats I've ever played against. Like, you guys are so awesome, and people pre-merge, people merge, the B and AJ. I just had such a fantastic time. I do apologize that I just, like, didn't get over, like, whatever is wrong with me and didn't really get to know a lot of you guys. So regardless of what happens after this, hopefully we can just have a talk and just be friends. Because honestly, to me, I hold no grudges regardless if I win or lose. Like, this is just really a game, and I was really, like, I was very close to retiring. But I really, yeah, retiring. See, you're new to this. You don't know the phrase. Retiring from this, and it was just like I had like so much fun. Like, when I say this is the first game that made me feel so weird, like that butterfly feeling in your stomach, like, I mean it. Like, I'm at work, and, like, instead of worrying about let's get this room ready for, like, an operation, I'm like,
What are you worried about?
yeah, like I wonder who's gonna vote me or not, you know? So it's like I had so much fun doing this. I really appreciate all of you guys. I'm glad that I was able to meet all of you guys, and hopefully we can all talk after this. And that's all.
All right, B, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, closing statements. We've talked for like 2.5 hours. Oh man, as someone with ADHD, this drives me nuts. I've just been like trying to like fidget and stuff. Oh man. Yeah, like as he said, I feel like the connections that I made have been really genuine. It would really break my heart if, like, I didn't get to continue these friendships on after the game and everything, because I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I really meant what I said to all you people and everything, except Tracy, who hates me. And yeah, like it's just been a great experience. And I'm not very eloquent after 2.5 hours, and I'm tired.
All right. Last but not least, A to the J.
Hi guys, thank you for putting up with me the last month and a half. I can be crazy sometimes, but thanks for pushing through. This game has been really crazy for me. I've had lots of highs in this game and lots of lows, lots of where I think I'm in control to parts where I'm relying on people to stick true to what they're saying to me. But after all those, I know how to pivot to certain situations that after my plan didn't go through, I had to pivot and make another plan. It's just been a crazy journey. I tried to get rid of threats that I knew that would beat me, like Brian, and I actually honestly thought Alex was a pretty big deal. Like he always was targeting me. I'm talking on and on now. But yeah, so I had fun, and it's also very shocking that I stayed online this whole 2.5 hours when I couldn't even make 10 minutes into a call with any of you guys. So thank you so much, and I'm sorry about everything. About not getting to know you guys.
All right, thank you, AJ. So just want to thank all of you guys, from the finalists to the jurors, even the people pre-jury, about how active you guys were in this game. It's been a lot of fun to host for me and Chris, and probably one of the most fun and active casts we've seen in any game, whether we've played or hosted in. And that's really a testament to how you guys did. And, you know, for sure, I hope you guys want to stick around and continue in this community, because we'd love to have you guys come back in the future and relive some craziness. So with that, we're going to adjourn Final Tribal Council. The jurors will now have about 20-ish hours, since this lasts so long, to vote. Hopefully we can find a time that everyone here, like I said, the final 3 can do. Then we'll have a nice finale and a reunion show, and we'll go from there. So once again, thank you guys, and good luck to the final 3. The jurors have some thinking to do. So with that, this is the end of the Final Tribal Council. Good night.